Welcome and everyone. I'm so happy to have you all here tonight. Thank you so much, and feel free to talk amongst yourselves while we have the music playing. We will have Rich and Ruby on tonight. Hello, everyone coming into the chat. We're going to have a great show tonight, guys. Hi, Sandy. Welcome in. I'm so glad to see you. We're going to be talking about Daniel Penny tonight, and I can't wait for us to hear what the Court TV uh, correspondents think about it. I watched the video earlier, and we will play the audio. I think it'll be something that will be fun to discuss. We're also waiting on Rich. He was doing some searching, and I know he has a busy schedule himself. So we um, are going to go over a couple of topics before he gets in, and then whenever he gets here, we'll start talking with him. And I don't know how many of you are um, familiar with the Daniel Penny case. It's one that is really interesting to me. I thought that he was acting in self-defense. He was trying to save everyone else who was on the subway cart that day. I've never ridden the subway. I'm from Chicago, so I'm kind of used to taking like the L or the Metro train. So still public transportation, but oh, great, Sandy. Yeah, it's we're actually on verdict watch for the Daniel Penny case. And so it's just an interesting topic, and honestly, Gracie brought it up last night and we were discussing it. So I just kind of want to go over some of the details and kind of where we're at this juncture. And they do a really great job of explaining it. So we'll just listen to it, and then I'll give some commentary while we're listening. But I will pull that up. It's an interesting case. I mean, it's like I said last night, there's no good deed that goes unrewarded. So sometimes you'll do a good deed and you'll think that you were doing the right thing, and sometimes you get punished for doing the right thing, unfortunately. And that's kind of what I think might be happening in this case, although we don't know what's going to be happening. So, oh, hey, Trishy, good to see you. Good to see you tonight. Thank you so much for being here. And I thought I had a banner. Oh, there we go. There's the banner. I didn't know how to get the banner up, guys, but there it is. I'm a learning. I'm a learning this. Learning this crazy StreamYard. But I don't know if I'll keep StreamYard around or if I'm gonna try a different third-party tool to get you the information. I would really love to do clips. That's what I'm really interested in doing, is clips. So hopefully we can do that. They always say men are more visual than women, and I think I'm a very visual person. I like to look, and I like to learn visually. Let's see. This darn Wi-Fi. Just one sec, guys. I'll be darned. Okay, there we go. Thank you guys. Thanks for letting me know. Let's start it over. I don't know why it kicked me off, but it kicked me off of the live for a second and then it muted me. So thank you so much for letting me know, guys. Okay, here we go. So this is credit to Vinnie Politan from Court TV. So Vinnie P from Court TV.
At Second Avenue, a man came on, stumbled on. He appeared to be on drugs. The doors closed, and he ripped his jacket off and threw it at the people sitting down to my left. I was listening to music at the time, and he was yelling, so I took my headphones out to hear what he was yelling. And the three main threats that he repeated over and over was, I'm going to kill you, I'm prepared to go to jail for life, and I'm willing to die. We were all scared. Mr. Neely was yelling in these passengers' faces, and they looked terrified. I knew I had to act, and I acted in a way that would protect the other passengers, protect myself, and protect Mr. Neely.
Okay, guys, so that was Daniel Penny's account of what happened on the subway car. So that's the man that we're now watching for a verdict for, and basically he recounted the events that happened that day and how he was feeling. So that's his small part of what happened, and when things like this happen, it happens so quickly, and I think that there's not a whole lot of time to react. Or hi Freebird, welcome in, so nice to see you. um, so I think that a lot of times there's not a whole lot of reaction time, so it just happens so quickly. But that was his small account, and now here's Vinny kind of going over some of the case details.
And that's his defense. That's Daniel Penny. He is a former Marine.
Hi,
He's on
Vinny.
the subway in New York. One day, this man starts acting out, threatening, going after, throwing trash at other passengers, and he takes him down from behind. Take a look. We've got video. There he is. He's lying down sort of next to him. You can see Jordan Neely, the man who died, with the white shirt, and he's got the tan jacket. And there's other folks there helping him, making sure that this man does not get up. But by the time police arrived, he had a faint pulse, and eventually he died. Jordan Neely did. Now he's charged with manslaughter. The jury has been deliberating now, and joining me, a reporter from New York One, who's been covering this trial, Dan.
Okay, guys, and this was something that came out afterwards. So Mr. Penny wasn't arrested right away. He actually left that day thinking he did a good deed. In my opinion, I'm thinking that's what he thought anyway. But then he was arrested about 10 days later, and charged with, the passing of Mr. Neely. And so that's kind of where we're at with that. And one thing that didn't come out until later was the fact that Mr. Neely still had a pulse. So he did have a pulse whenever the first responders came in to assist with the situation. And so, the man, Mr. Neely, did not pass away until after the situation. He was placed in kind of like a chokehold to kind of subdue him. However, it wasn't like he was putting a whole lot of pressure on it. It didn't look like that anyway. And there was other concerned citizens on the subway that day. Manhattan subway, yes, Sandy, yes. And this was in New York, Trishy. Yeah, it is awful. It's awful for everyone involved because I do believe that Mr. Neely had some sort of mental issues. He was also using rugs that day. So he was using the synthetic form of Mary Jane. And a lot of times that will cause hallucinations and different things that, are not expected to happen. So let's just watch some more here, or listen rather.
Reveille joins us. Reveille, Dan, let's start with what happened today. I always want to start there. Obviously, no verdict, but any action from the jury? Any questions?
Hey, Vinny. So the only insight we have into what's going on in that jury room are the notes that they send to the judge. So they sent 2 notes requesting 2 key pieces of evidence and testimony. Let's start with the report came back showing he had fentanyl in his system, enough to put down an elephant. That wouldn't change her opinion. So the defense had made an issue of the fact that she determined a cause of death before getting the toxicology report that showed he had K2 synthetic marijuana in his system, among other reports that were still pending. And so again, she said that during cross-examination that even if it had enough fentanyl to put down an elephant, she would not change her mind. She would still go with the chokehold as the cause of death. So that was one piece of evidence or testimony that they're getting. The jurors are hearing once again. The other parts of the evidence they requested were the key pieces of video evidence, the cell phone video from the freelance journalist that your viewers just saw, a compilation of police body-worn camera footage, and also Daniel Penny's interview with detectives at the local police precinct house where he waived his Miranda rights and spoke to detectives at length, where he described Neely's conduct on the train and how he was only trying to restrain him, not trying to hurt him. So that those pieces of evidence really go to the justification part of the defense and of the case.
Yeah, it's interesting because you got two different pieces and they go to both parts of it, right? The self-defense, defense of others part, and then the actual cause of death and all this. So what's the schedule? They come back tomorrow?
That's right. They were in the middle of the readback of the cross-examination of the medical examiner, so they spent about a half hour hearing that part of the testimony read back to them, and then tomorrow morning they're going to have the other about roughly half of it for maybe about another half hour. They're going to continue to hear that testimony, and then they go back and we'll have to see if we send any more notes out. I mean, like I said, we already went from the request for the evidence going towards justification, then they moved on to the testimony going to the causation, Jordan Neely's cause of death. So we'll have to see what else they want to hear back read to them as they deliberate.
Yeah, again, we've been saying this all along, not an easy case for the jury. And how about the defense?
Yeah, Trishy, I agree. I think it's really, really sad that they charged him, especially because it's not like he had a malicious intent. It seems like his intent was to save the other people in the car and just kind of subdue this man. I don't think that he intended on hurting him. Although, he is a Marine, so he does have that type of a training. And so, but why was he holding the homeless guy down again? Okay, so in the beginning when Mr. Neely's talking, Mr. Penny, Daniel is talking. He's explaining how the man was on the car, and he's like, "I'm gonna unalive everyone. I don't care who," and he was making threats to like everyone around him in the subway car. So. That's his side of the story, and of course there are other people. There were people that were riding the car that day, and or the subway that day, and basically he was trying, in my opinion, I think he was trying to subdue the man because of the threats, but I don't think that he was actually trying to hurt him. Although of course everybody has their own opinions and things like that. I do know that the toxicology report came back with Mr. Neely, that was the homeless man. He was the one that had some rugs in his system. But the prosecutor said that it didn't really matter, that it was still going to, they were still going to look at that as the reason for this man's passing was the chokehold that he was placed in to be subdued. And here we'll listen more.
He's out, right? So he's able to come in and out of the courthouse. What have we noticed about him?
He has a steely demeanor. Eyes forward as he walks down the center of the courtroom. You barely see any emotion. Obviously, from my vantage point, I'm pretty much looking at the back of his head. But he makes really no facial expression.
And I'll just show you guys Mr. Penny, excuse me. Ooh, here we go. And he's the one with the curly blonde hair, guys. sounds like Rodney King. Oh my goodness, Sandy. Oh my gosh. That is so funny. Well, I mean, that's not funny, but just odd because that was an older case. And I don't know if you guys remember what happened with Rodney King. It was something where he was actually hurt really badly by the police. And it was a long time ago. So good call, Sandy. Thank you so much for the comment. And then Trishy says, reminds me of the fact that certain rugs can slow your heart rate and respiratory rate. He was acting erratic. Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And, I know that the synthetic forms of Mary Jane, which is also, flour or what have you. Hey, Amy Boyd. So nice to see you today. We were wondering about you. We knew that you were having, some medical stuff. So I'm so glad to see you here. And we were definitely saying prayers for you. Oh, here's Richard. He wants me to do the link. I thought I sent him that link. Oh boy, did I think I sent it to him? Oh, it's gone. Oh, okay, it's gone. Hold on one second, guys. Let me go ahead. Bear with me 1 second. Let me get Richard back in here. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's weird. Okay. Copy. Send it to Rich. There we go. There we go. Alrighty, he should be popping in any minute here. And change. It did. It was because of a chokehold. That's right, Sandy. Yeah, that's why I said good call. I was just like, oh my gosh, it was like funny that you said that because I didn't think of that either. But it did change history forever. It was a huge case and everybody knew about it. Everyone was quite upset about, or a lot of people were quite upset about what happened to Mr. King. And so, yeah, and then in this case, this was a Marine veteran in 2012. And so if only we could predict behavior before it occurs. I agree. I mean, I know some people think that Mr. Penny used excessive force. Like one of the commentators was asking, well, if he was able to subdue him, why didn't he stop once he had him down on the ground, basically? Or why didn't he just kind of hold him down? But in that situation, things happen so fast, and I think that perhaps it was a situation where he wanted to keep him down. He had all these people that he was, in his opinion, he was protecting these people, and when he had him down, I don't think he wanted to let him back up because he didn't know what he would do next, I think. And that's just my opinion. Oh, okay. Yeah, Rodney. Oh, that's right, Trisha. Yeah, Rodney King wasn't an older case. 92. Okay. Oh, there's Richard. Hold on. Let's get Rich in here. Oh, he's got a cool background like he always does. Here we go. The stage. There we go.
What's going on?
Hey, what's up, Richard? How are you?
How are you?
I'm doing great, thank you. Doing great. We were just talking about Daniel Penny.
Yeah, I'm kind of worn out, but it's all right. Y'all doing all right?
Yeah. I bet you
fill
are
me
worn
in on
out.
this case. Like, I don't really know. I know a little bit about it, but I don't know an awful lot. Didn't it happen some time ago?
Yes. So this happened, I believe it was last year sometime. It wasn't a long time ago, but like we're on jury watch. So the jury is out. They asked 2 questions today, which was to the judge. So when they're deliberating, they'll like send a note to the judge asking certain questions, and so they're definitely deliberating. And Freebird says, "What's up, Rich?" And also, we have Amy Boyd in the house.
What's up,
Amy
Bird?
Boyd is here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
man.
so So yeah,
Hey, what's up?
they're deliberating right now. I'm thinking, the jury doesn't really like to like usually if it's a weekend or a holiday or something, they want to get the verdict in before that. So I don't know what to expect. I'm anticipating maybe a hung jury or hopefully a not guilty verdict, but
So what are so the people in the room, what is their opinion on this? Because like I said, I'm really kind of blind at this one. I don't know a lot about it.
well, Sandy was saying that it reminded her of the Rodney King case from the 90s.
Okay. So that's what they're comparing this to?
Yeah, well, that was Sandy's take on things. And then we were talking about the fact that the man was allegedly using rugs like synthetic Mary Jane. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, okay.
Yeah, and then another thing that was kind of I guess another thing that was said was that it reminded them, I think, I'm sorry, I was trying to remember, but I'll have to go back and look. Oh, George Floyd, that's right, George Floyd. So Minnie said George Floyd.
Okay. George Floyd. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
So that was the case where the police officers, um, I meant, 2012. That's right, Sandy, 2012. Okay, who was, no, but I think that was even that was even more recent. Yeah,
so
or no?
did so okay, so just to get a little rundown, is this they were on like a subway train?
Yep, they were on a subway train. And here,
Yeah.
I'll tell you. I'll replay the part with what Mr. Penny said really quick because I'll give you his side of the story really quick.
Yeah, I'm just curious so that way I don't guess at anything.
A man came on, stumbled on. He was appeared
He's
to
a
be on
Marine,
drugs.
right? Or an ex-Marine?
The doors closed, and he ripped his jacket off and threw it at
Bless
the
you.
people sitting down to my left.
I
I was
think he was
listening to
in the
music
military,
at the
like
time.
ex-Marine. I did see
And he was
that.
yelling, so I took my headphones out to hear what he was yelling. And the three main threats that he repeated over and over was, "I'm going to kill you. I'm prepared to go to jail for life, and I'm willing to die." We were all scared. Mr. Neely was yelling in these passengers' faces, and they looked terrified. I knew I had to act, and I acted in a way that
Yes,
would
Freebird.
protect the other passengers, protect myself,
I
and
can
protect
barely hear
Mr.
that.
And that's his defense.
So did you hear that part, Rich?
And no, it's so low. Like I can't really hear it on my
You
end.
can't hear it? Okay, hold on 1 second. Oh, that's about as out. Okay, hold on. Let me get my face out of this microphone and then I'll hold on 1 second.
That's Daniel Penny. He is a former Marine who's on the subway in New York. One day, this man starts acting out, threatening, going after, throwing trash at other passengers, and he takes him down from behind. Take a look. We've got video. There he is. He's lying down, sort of next to him. You can.
Sorry.
Huh.
At Second Avenue, a man came on, stumbled on. He was appeared to be on drugs. Um, the doors closed, and he ripped his jacket off and threw it at the people sitting down to my left. I was listening to music at the time, and he was yelling, so I took my headphones out to hear what he was yelling. And the three main threats that he repeated over and over was, "I'm going to kill you. I'm prepared to go to jail for life, and I'm willing to die." We were all scared. Mr. Neely was yelling in these passengers' faces, and they looked terrified. I knew I had to act, and I acted in a way that would protect the other passengers, protect myself, and protect Mr. Neely. And that's his defense.
Was that better, you guys?
Yeah, I can hear it a little bit. Yeah, it's
Good.
so this man that this Neely gentleman, he was acting a little bit like different towards people on the subway.
Yeah, he was saying that he wanted to unalive them, like he didn't
Oh
care
wow.
who he unalived, like it would be everybody, and that he didn't care if he went to like jail or not. Like he didn't care. He was in a really toxic state of mind, for lack of a better way to say it.
Yeah. Wow. So what does everybody think about it, right? I know I see Amy Boyd's in there.
Yeah, Amy's in there. Can you see the chat? Do you want me to pop up a couple of them on the screen?
So what's your thoughts on it? Like, you've probably done some research on it.
Oh, my thoughts are I really think that they never should have charged Mr. Penny.
Now, yeah, if he was defending someone, then of course, right? Like, I mean, he's a Marine, right? So
He's a Marine.
of course his training is to defend Americans, you know. And I mean, like I said, I haven't really watched the trial or anything, so it's kind of hard to speculate when I mean, I need to read up on it. But so they're already done with what, day 2, day 3?
You know, I didn't know they were actually. I didn't know until yesterday when Gracie brought it up that they were that he was on trial right now. I didn't know that.
Okay, so he's been on trial and now they're at the verdict stage.
Yeah, and I thought it would be interesting to bring it up tonight just because like right before I came on, I saw that Vinnie Politan was covering it for closing arguments, and so I was like, let's play the clip and let's play a little bit of it of
Yeah,
the
I
audio
wonder
of what
what
Mr.
they're
Penny
saying.
said transpired, and then also we were kind of listening a little bit into what one of the experts that Vinny had on his panel had to say about it, and so I just found it to be really interesting. I think if he is, I think that if he is actually convicted, that it could set precedents in other cases. So I think it's actually really huge.
So then it makes you wonder, why did they charge him in the beginning? Like,
Well,
I mean, have you seen the footage, or is there footage of it, or is there?
there's footage of it. Do you want me to try to just like put the camera up to the screen? You think you could I mean, can you see me pretty clearly? Let me
Yeah,
let
I
me
can
let
see
me do
very
this.
clear.
Let me
I'm
see.
just curious. Like, so this all happened on a subway. Like these people must have been either traveling to work, traveling home,
Mhm.
and
Yeah,
so
they
I
were all
feel.
like, like typically, in the bigger cities for people who aren't really familiar. Like I said, I'm not familiar with New York, but like Chicago, a lot of times people will park in like a public transit area and they'll hop on the L or they'll hop on the Metro to get to work every day.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I
It's
I
like
had
a
a Metro train that I lived by. Like my apartment was right next to the Metro station. So I would just walk to the Metro and then I would get on and I would take the train downtown and it would take 30 minutes about. And you would also use it for like if you wanted to go downtown Chicago, like when they had the Taste of Chicago, the fireworks, whatever it was, and then you wouldn't have to drive.
and
And
you didn't have to
what they
pay to
would do
park.
there is like on those nights, it could get pretty rowdy, right? Because there's people drinking
Oh,
down
okay,
there
okay.
and doing God knows what. And
Well,
so they would have a family car. They would have family carts, and then they would have like the ones that like for all the drunks. We'll say a drunk cart, right? So a lot of times, like even if you didn't have a family, like sometimes if you just didn't want to deal with all those people, you could always just get on those ones. I don't know if the subway has that. Does anybody in the chat? Is anyone in the chat familiar with riding the subway, or have you rode the subway?
yeah, and in New
You have?
York, yeah, it was one time. It's been a while though, so I don't know how much it's changed over the past 15 years or so. But I know that like that's pretty much what everybody does there. Is especially the people like in downtown and that work. I mean, that's what they do, is they jump on it or they walk the sidewalks, right? I mean, that's kind of like
Yeah, they
downtown
walk.
LA,
People
right?
walk.
Like,
Yeah.
in the Hannah case, they're riding those little V trains or whatever they call them. It's kind of the same thing. It's like a little shuttle service that gets you from point A to point B, and they run all day long.
Yeah, and I mean, it's like, you can buy like the passes and stuff like that, and that way you don't have to drive through the city. You don't have to sit in rush hour traffic. A lot of people use it as an option, and then just for leisure too. So there could have been people that were just getting off of work and just wanting to go home. They didn't want to be threatened and things like that. And so, um, And then I also feel for the man that the home because this man was homeless. Apparently, he wasn't in a very good state of mind, and then also he mixed the synthetic rugs, with that
So,
the mental
so they were
illness and all of that.
familiar. So a lot of these people might have been familiar with this guy if he rode the subway a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they were. I think that um, I remember watching, and I don't remember who had it, but it was basically clips from people saying, yeah, he's very known. He was a known guy for being kind of an unstable individual. Let's just put it that way.
Wow. And see, that's what I was saying. Amy Boyd, she was in New York, I believe, for a while downtown. So she probably knows a lot about the subway.
Oh, she lived in Staten Island, she said, for a year. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you lived in Staten Island, then I mean, there's
So she
uh,
rode that subway probably quite a bit.
yeah, and that's the thing. It's important for people's livelihoods, that's how they get back and forth to work. And and it also allows you to get some things done on there too. Like if you have to answer emails and whatnot, you're not driving, it's
Yeah,
another
you're not
perk about taking the public transportation.
yeah, you're not stuck in a cab, sitting in a light or anything, you're constantly moving.
Yeah, exactly.
So from
Exactly.
what I'm gathering, it seems like everybody got on this subway and that he was a little out of control because of substances or whatever, and this guy evidently tried to protect someone or more than one person and did what he did. And I'm guessing that probably wasn't his intentions, but probably just try to hold him until they either stopped or got off or whatnot, till evidently law enforcement or somebody could probably come.
Yeah, and then I was thinking about this too. I mean, there's a lot of like single moms and that don't have a car, so they take the public trans for that. So there might have been kids on there too, like little ones on there, and he probably, from my perspective, now I wasn't in the military or anything like that, but from my perspective, I think that like he probably looked around and saw these people, and he was like, oh my gosh, this guy doesn't care. Like he's saying he doesn't care that he's about to hurt everybody, and he's acting irate. And I think he just kind of sprung into action. And what I was saying before you popped in was that like these things happen so fast that I don't think that he had time to think before he reacted. I think it was more of an instinct, but I don't know. What do you think?
Well, it depends. Did was there like any kind of struggle, or was it just there had to be some kind of something altercation for him to grab him like that?
He just went and subdued him. Like he just went ahead and here, give me just a little second. You go ahead and talk with everybody, and
Yeah,
I
I
will
mean,
be
I'm
right
just
back.
wondering, was the guy sitting down? Was the guy standing up? Like, what was he doing?
He was standing up. Here, I'll show you. Give me 1 second here.
Okay, okay.
And I'm gonna mute my mic, okay? Hold on 1 second.
Yeah, it just seems like if you haven't paid attention to it, it's really hard to, because you don't want to say something that might be, not the situation, right? So somebody like me that really, I mean, I remember hearing about it at the time, and I remember this is a guy I believe, if my memory is correct, that he actually went and turned himself in, correct?
Yeah, like he did the right thing. I mean, I think that they should really have based this on his intent, like what he was intending to happen. I don't think that he was like, well, if this guy wants to be unalive, then I'm gonna do it for him, type of a thing. I think he
No,
was more
yeah,
or
don't
less
I don't think that was his
acting
intentions
in a
either.
more of a heroic, I can't say it,
Well,
heroic
yeah,
effort to help these people that were on the subway
control
that
the
day.
threat, right? You have to
Yeah.
control the threat. Whatever the threat was, he felt like he needed to control the threat before it got out of hand, is what it sounds like.
Well, that's a great way to put it. Absolutely. I mean, you know,
Because
um,
that's how his training is, right? Just like law enforcement or anybody. You have to try
Hey,
to
Gracie.
de-escalate, right, the threat, and however you have to do that sometimes, if people's lives are in jeopardy or danger, then you have to try to control the situation. At least, I guess, at least he was willing to stand up, maybe. And I don't know if other people had stood up as well. Did anybody help him or anything?
Yeah, so there was another man that you can see in the video, and I'm gonna try to show it to you guys. I'll just put my phone up to my phone.
Okay, so
But
someone else intervened as well.
yeah, like someone else intervened as well, another man. And you know what I thought was really heroic about what Mr. Penny did was because a lot of times, like you'll see those videos where people will like be getting their butt beat by like somebody, and
Mm-hmm.
like everybody just pops their phone out and starts, taking pictures and stuff. And instead of doing that, he answered the call to action, like, wait a minute, you can't threaten all of these people and think that I'm going to let you get away with it, kind of a thing.
Well, yeah, because he didn't know if this guy, evidently, maybe this guy was showing signs of he might actually do bodily harm to someone. I mean, I guess unless you're in there and in the moment, you really wouldn't know that. But he felt like he needed to intervene for a reason. And with his training, of course, he probably stepped up because he felt like the threat was getting worse and worse and worse. And maybe actions were going to happen if he didn't take action.
Right, right. And I think that it was just more of like it just happened so quickly. And they did not they didn't arrest him that night. It wasn't like they came and got Mr. Neely and then like arrested him at the scene. He was not arrested until like 10 days later, I believe it was. And
Oh,
yeah,
wow. So this
he
is
did the
more
right
of,
thing. He waived his Miranda rights, and he spoke with law enforcement and told them what happened. And then they decided to still pick the charges up, the prosecution or the
okay.
DA.
So that was 10 days later.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, it was because he still, the man who passed, he still had a pulse.
Oh, okay. So whenever he let go of him, he was still like breathing.
He was still breathing and everything. Like when first responders came to the scene, he was still he was still breathing. So he was still alive. And but they were saying that um even if he had enough of um the
The
F
stuff in his system.
the F stuff, the stuff that makes you really sleepy and stuff.
Yeah.
Um, if he had enough to knock out an elephant, they still would have said that he was unalived by Mr. Neely's attempt to subdue him.
Well, yeah, but if he had a pulse, that doesn't make sense because that means that he was still breathing.
That was I mean, when I saw that came out a couple of weeks ago, and when I saw that video, I was like, wait a minute, if he still had a pulse, then they need to free Mr. Penny then. If Mr. Neely still had a pulse, then I think that Mr. Penny should be set free. I don't think he should be charged for
Well,
anything.
yeah,
I mean,
that changes the whole narrative, right? Like if
yeah.
he somehow just held him long enough for everybody to get off safely, right? And then was law enforcement present like when he let go, or how did it all end, right?
He pretty much held him there until the law enforcement officers got there, and so did the other man, like who had helped him. I
Okay.
think because somebody said, well, how come he didn't just let him go when he got him down on the ground? And it's because like he did. My opinion would be because I wouldn't know whether he was gonna come after me and be more mad. I mean, he could be mad as a hornet after that.
Well, yeah, I mean, she does have a point, right? In a way that is a good point, because if you had someone else there to help you as well, you would think two people would be able to hold this man down. But then again, depending on what he was on and exactly how enraged he was, like, unless you're there in the moment, you probably didn't realize or know how enraged this person was, or if it was just he was just maybe what he had taken was bad, and it just made him snap like that, right? Maybe it was from the substance he had taken. I mean, of course, trigger warning on that, but you know what I mean? Like
Absolutely,
that
yes,
could
yes.
be, you got to look at both sides of it, right? That's what I always say. You have to look at this side and this side, right? And yes, if he had another man and there was two men that were able to overpower him, then of course, if they could have held him down or sat on him or something like that, then maybe I could understand letting him go and sitting on the man. But then again, unless you're in that situation, like maybe he did try to let up on him with the choke, let him up a little bit, and then he started fighting. We don't know, like I said, unless we were in there.
Well, that's true. It's really hard to tell too because you have two people that are kind of holding them down. So I mean, there were at least there was another person that felt the need to step in, and then there was another person that felt like that what Mr. Neely was doing was threatening enough to help Mr. Penny subdue him. You know what I mean? Because um,
Yeah.
here, I'll try to tell me if you could see this good once I put it up. I'm gonna do here. Let me do the no, let me do this.
Okay.
He is a former Marine who's on the subway
Yeah, I
in
can
New
hear
York.
it.
One day, this man starts acting out, threatening, going after, throwing trash at other passengers, and he takes him down from behind. Take a look. We've got video. There he is. He's lying down sort of next to him. You can see Jordan Neely, the man who died, with the white shirt, and he's got the tan jacket. And there's other folks there helping him, making sure that this man does not get up. But by the time police arrived, he had a faint pulse, and eventually he died. Jordan Neely did. Now he's charged with manslaughter. The jury has been deliberating now, and joining me, a reporter from New York One, has been covering this trial.
Yeah, I see that. Okay, so the
Did
man,
you
yeah,
see it?
he did chase the man down from behind. So the guy was actually moving around threatening people. That's
Yeah,
what it
like
looks
he
like to
was he
me.
was like, I don't care who knows, like he was acting crazy, like basically like just yelling at everybody and threatening everybody on the subway.
And so he saw the threat. He basically did what he's trained to do and stopped the threat. And in a way of, he probably thought, I'm holding you down until you stop, or until, we don't know what was being said, right? I'm sure words were probably being exchanged, but what was he telling him? Was he telling him, calm down and I'll let you go? Was it, I mean, we don't know, right? What was said there. So yeah, he did come up from him from behind. So who knows if that man was going to grab one of those ladies or one of those people next to him and snap, right? We don't know that. He was already like escalating and escalating. So yeah, it's kind of, if two people stepped in, really, then that means more than one person felt that this person was a threat to everybody in there.
Exactly, exactly. And I just don't feel like it would, I feel like if people think that if they help they're going to go to jail, that's going to stop people from wanting to help. I mean, not maybe not someone like Mr. Penny who's a Marine, or someone who has been in the army, because or a police officer that's off duty, because those people are used to springing to action. They're used to you know they want to help
De-escalating.
other people. And so,
Yeah.
but I mean, I just feel like it's going to set a precedence for, and also just a tone for people who want to help, or
Well,
people
what
who are
if
willing to step in.
I take it this way? Take, for instance, that, say that Mr. Penning was a off-duty police officer. Would we still be sitting here?
I mean, I don't, that's a good question.
Or if he was a fireman off duty, or if he was a first responder of some sort off duty, a paramedic, an EMT, a detective, or somebody that's their line of work every day, and they deal with people there, and they, if this would have been an officer on duty or off duty, right? Would this still be going on? That's what
Exactly.
makes me wonder. Like,
Or if somebody had gotten punched in the face, or if somebody was unalived in the situation, would we still be here? But then it would take somebody to be hurt or unalived.
well, yeah, and but the thing to me is, if he still had a pulse, like Benny just said, if he still had a pulse when he let go and law enforcement were present, then that man let go before the man was unalive. So technically, I mean, it's so hard, that's where the line becomes, wow, super thin, right? A super thin margin of line of is it is it really unaliving someone, or is it just neutralizing a threat and keeping everybody safe that was on that train? I mean, evidently he was the bravest one to stand up and try to de-escalate the situation. But like I said, if that would have been an off-duty officer or an off-duty paramedic or an off-duty fireman, or an off-duty security guard or a prison guard, would we still be talking about this?
I
Probably
mean, that's
not.
a great question. I
Probably
mean,
not.
and like Gracie said, she said to me, a vet is a first responder. So like
Yes,
I
they
would
are.
agree because I mean they've been trained to do these things. Like this is
Yeah,
what they were meant to do, you know, this is their path and stuff. So I mean I and a lot of times, you know, if they're a vet, they become a police officer and that sort of thing. So I mean they are in a sense law enforcement.
they are in a sense actually a little bit above training of law enforcement, but especially a Marine. But
Right.
the
That's true. Good
situation
point.
is they're trained differently. They're trained for combat versus protecting the streets, right? So, but what he did was just basically de-escalate the situation like anybody would have done, right? Uh,
Anyone who is brave.
anyone, yes, who felt like he was a threat to anyone on that train that stands up for when people, because basically in a way he was bullying everybody on the train, right?
Yeah,
By doing and
he was
shouting
like
that way, like,
terrorizing people, right? I think that's my opinion.
yeah, he was basically bullying everybody on that train. And of course the women or the children, they're not going to stand up. They're in fear, right? And so he must have saw someone's face that triggered him to say, oh my God, this person is really feared for their life, right? Like, I need to step in, right?
Sure.
It's more or less of a spare the moment, like you either react or you don't. It's kind of like taking a law enforcement officer and they pull somebody over for speeding and they walk up to that window and that person tries to pull something out, right? Really fast. They only have a split second to react. And
It happens so
that seems
fast.
like what he did was like he kind of came up behind him and just kind of like said, yeah, I'm not going to allow you to hurt someone. And who knows? The gentleman had to have fought back some way or they wouldn't have ended up on the ground. Uh, so that to me, and I don't think somebody else would have stepped in. The reason the other person stepped in is because they felt like maybe this person couldn't hold him by himself. And so he had to intervene too to make sure that they kept this man down. So that tells me more than one person saw the same threat. So what about the other person that stepped in and helped? Was he charged with the same thing?
No, only Mr. Penny was charged.
Hmm. But this person also stepped in.
He also stepped in. And that was what was crazy is as you know, I don't even know who that man was. He was an African American man who stepped in to help. And he was a bigger guy. I mean, he was a big guy. It wasn't like he was a little guy or anything like that. I mean, so if that man felt threatened and Mr. Penny felt threatened and everybody else did, I don't understand. You know what I mean? To me, that maybe I'm missing something. I don't know. That's why
Well,
I wanted to talk. I wanted to discuss it
I
tonight.
don't think Mr.
One for
Penning,
Gracie, but two, I find it so interesting.
yeah, I don't think Mr. Penning felt threatened like he was threatened. I think he felt like this man was going to harm somebody else in that train and he needed to react because that's his training, right? That's drilled in him. That is his code, right? That is his honor, is to protect and to serve, you know, American people. That's why they're our heroes. And that's what makes it really hard is if another man that wasn't military was willing to step in and help the Marine, then to me, both people, I mean, if you're going to charge one, you would have to charge them both. To me, that's of course just my opinion, but that's
I
how
would
I
think
would
so
look at
too.
it.
I mean, I would think so too. What would what's the difference? Was the other person a civilian? Maybe that's what it was, but
No, I don't think that would have mattered if he stepped in and put his hands anywhere on that man. Then he's basically he's still doing the same thing, neutralizing the threat, right? De-escalating the threat. So that's what makes it. I don't know. That makes it kind of tough. I mean, I don't understand if they didn't charge him that night. I'm sure they saw the video right then and there, right? You would think the officers would have saw the video on the train and pulled that and looked at it and felt like, okay, sir, we're not, what you did was brave, right? We're going to let you go home. And then maybe it got out of hand and people started throwing it in a different direction of, like, I don't know how to say that, but without, looking horrible saying it, but maybe they turned this into, they felt like maybe this man had done this always and he wasn't a threat, but maybe he was just talking and maybe that's how he was. Maybe he did this every day. Maybe he acted like this all the time on the train, but that doesn't make it right. If he happened to feel like this gentleman was going to hurt someone, that's the only reason he would react, right? With his training is that he felt this man's fixing to hurt someone. But
Yeah, because he said he was fixing to hurt someone. I mean, he said he was gonna do it. And you know what else? Like Sandy said, I'm not exactly sure how long afterwards, but I'm thinking that they didn't arrest him because that man was still alive. Because I always wondered that too, Rich, is like, how come they didn't arrest him on the spot if they were gonna do it? Why'd they wait 10 days? Well,
yeah, and how
apparently it's
long
because
did
he
it
was
take
still
this?
alive.
Yeah, how long did it take him for them to declare him passed away?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Let me
Was
Google
it
it
at
really
the
quick and
hospital
see.
30 minutes later? Was it right then and there? That has a lot to do with it.
It does. That's a great
I mean, she
question,
just brought
Sandy,
up
for
a good
real.
point. How much long after he left and the situation was handled by law enforcement was this man pronounced, unalive? Like, was it in hours? Was it minutes? Was it on the scene? Was it?
Yeah, like
That's
did
what
they
we would
take
have to
him into
find
the
out.
ambulance and all of a sudden kicks the bucket for lack of a better term. I'm not trying to be insensitive, but I'm just saying like, I can't
Yeah,
say
was it? That's what
the
I'm
actual
saying.
word.
Was he okay until they got him in the ambulance? Was he okay till he was, taken to the hospital? Was he okay even at the hospital for a while? Like, was his pulse still there? Like, basically, because that would make a difference, because then you could really say that maybe what he took, like, basically did what happened, right? Like, maybe that's what made his heart stop was the whatever the substance that he had taken.
Well, and I know like that synthetic stuff, it does make you like hallucinate. It also makes you have like really toxic like thoughts and stuff like that. It's not good stuff, like that spice stuff that people like to, do, and it's like it's not good at all.
Yeah, we,
Um
we need to know how long it was after the situation was handled by law enforcement. Was it immediate? Was it 10 minutes? Was it 15 minutes? Was it 30 minutes? I
oh, see,
wish
this
that,
one
I'm
just
sure
says
that's in there
shortly
somewhere.
after.
Yeah, like if you try to Google it, what does it say? How long did Mr. Neely, what time was he pronounced, unalive? Like, after the situation. And
Right.
that would be a big question to ask, as far as that would have a way difference in charging this man or not charging this man, to me. Like, it seems like if it was immediate, maybe that's why they did bring charges, but we would need to know that.
Exactly. Well, here's what I found on Wikipedia. So it says on May 1st, 20, and Wikipedia is not the greatest source, but on May 1st, 2023, Jordan Neely, a 30-year-old homeless man, passed away after 24-year-old Marine veteran named Daniel Penny put him in a chokehold. Neely boarded a New York City subway train at the 2nd Avenue station just before it departed and reportedly began screaming that he was hungry and needed a job, saying that he was not afraid of going to prison and that he was ready to pass away, and threatening people. Freelance journalist Juan Alberto Vasquez, who witnessed this incident, said that Neely removed his jacket, threw it violently to the floor, resulting in other passengers moving away from him. Vasquez said that he did
Wow.
not see Neely assault anyone. Other witnesses reported fearing that they would be unalived by Mr. Neely's actions, including him throwing trash at the passengers and approaching people. So he was throwing trash at people,
Oh,
guys.
wow,
And
he
I'm
was
like,
throwing
ugh.
items. Yeah, that's not good. That's
Penny then
actually going
approached Neely
overboard.
from behind and put him in that chokehold. But it doesn't. Okay, hold on. Wait. See, it just says shortly after in the one. Let me see. Okay, Neely's passing was ruled a homicide by compression of the neck on May 4th. Okay, so that's when, so it happened the 1st, and it was deemed, yeah, the 1st. I wanted to make sure. Okay. Yeah, and then it was deemed compression of the neck is what they said.
Yeah, but that doesn't explain how long the man was still with us until he was pronounced unalive, right? I mean, that will make a big difference in the thing to
I know
me.
it just says like if I just go to the overview when I Google it, it says according to available information, Jordan Neely was pronounced unalive shortly after arriving at the hospital following.
Okay, so that could be 30 minutes later.
I mean, shortly after, so not very long after. We'll just, I
No,
mean, but
shortly
I
after
would
he
like to know
arrived at the
too, because I
hospital.
mean, like you said, it could make a difference.
Yeah,
Shortly after to
because
me seems like 3 to 5 minutes. See,
how
like
long did it
everybody,
take the ambulance to get there? Right? The ambulance probably took 10, 15 minutes to get there. They had to bring him up from the subway.
They had to stop
So,
the subway.
yeah, like you're another 5 minutes there, then you're a 10 or 15-minute drive to the hospital. That could be an hour.
I'm thinking it was probably like an hour or two. That's my best guess.
Yeah, now okay, that's a long time after. That means that, and now if he would have been on the scene, right, pronounced on the scene, then that would of course be different. So that is kind of wow.
Kind of,
That
I
is
mean,
a little
it's
bit.
a different perspective, and even like I said, I wasn't even sure until I heard that that man still, Mr.
Yeah,
Kneeling, still had a pulse.
and that's what I'm saying. He wasn't pronounced until possibly, Sis said, roughly say 40, 35, 40 minutes to an hour, hour and a half. So that is a big difference in versus on the scene.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, so I mean, because yeah, if it was like he was unalived with Mr. Penny's bare hands, then it was like okay. And then I really believe that the intent. My big thing is like, if he intentionally hurt that man, but I don't think he was. I think he was just being an ordinary hero, like
Yeah,
he
that's not
was.
intentional.
And he's a 24-year-old. Mr. Penny's a 24-year-old, young guy.
He's a
They're
young
both
guy, and
young.
his training could have been seconds, right? No, so no, I'm not going to say that he did not use the force of that way. He was just trying to neutralize the threat and hold him until law enforcement could get there. That to me, that's what it sounds like. I mean, if he would have wanted it to be something different or faster, he could have. I mean, with his training, he could have done that, right? So that was not his intentions, I don't believe. I think he just tried to hold on and wait for proper authorities to get there.
Yeah, I agree too. I mean, and it says that the police officers arrived on the scene and found him with a faint pulse. Medical personnel administered CPR and Narcan. He was administered Narcan at the scene, so that means that he was definitely using the H
Yeah,
substance
yeah.
or the
That
F
if they did that,
substance.
then they were, and that's what they.
He
So
was
that
gonna
tells
OD.
me they thought that could have done what happened. Like he could have slipped into a coma because of the substance. Is that tells me that's what
Exactly.
they were thinking.
Yeah, because you don't have to be. I mean, if somebody like you don't get Narcan, that's not going to bring you back. It's not.
No,
Not
they
no
didn't do
amount
it
of
for
it
that
will.
reason. They thought that maybe the whatever he was on had caused him to slip into that deep sleep or whatever, right? So that's why they injected him with that. Because
Yeah,
if not, they would have
that's what they
shocked
give
him or
people when they're
something,
gonna
right?
OD on F or H. So that's what I find really interesting because I never heard that either. So now I'm like,
Yeah,
oh
his heart
boy.
presumably stopped from. Yes, I believe what
Yes,
she's
Trishy,
saying is probably
exactly.
right, and that's what they thought. That's why they gave him Narcan.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
because otherwise, there's no amount of that. If that was the case, any of us that were, dying, or excuse me, unaliving in that way, then somebody could give us Narcan and bring us back. That only works for an OD.
yeah, and that's true. Like because it's yeah, that makes me think if they gave him that for sure there on the scene, that's probably what they thought And this guy probably had a history of using substances, and I'm sure they
Drives
knew that he
food.
was one to use substances. So that's most likely why they gave him the Narcan. And
Right.
of course,
Also,
throwing things, that's a threat.
synthetic Mary
That's
Jane.
you can hurt someone.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. You know, and then he's in that state of mind where he doesn't care. I mean, you know, and if somebody's, um, you know, you can usually kind of tell when somebody's on those kinds of things, and then that makes the situation even more scary because it makes them even more unstable. We don't know what they were going to do.
Yeah, that's true. And
You
and
know,
that
so
can mean that, yeah, that we have to look at it that way. And that's what I'm saying. Sometimes these things need to be really broken down like this, so then we can grab every aspect of it, because sometimes these things get twisted and flipped around. And it looks to me like, the way Vinny put it out was this guy was like on the verge of not caring anymore about his life or anyone else's life on that train.
absolutely. But here's the deal. What I really don't understand is like it says right here that um, that the medical examiner said that the cause of death was, or excuse me, the cause of unaliving was a chokehold. I'm like, what? But he was given Narcan. That doesn't, that's not gonna, the Narcan, like I said, it's not gonna bring you
Well,
back from a
that is
chokehold. Come on.
different because he lived 20, 30, 40 minutes to an hour after.
Yeah, I mean, it had, like, yeah, let's just say even like, let's just give it maybe an hour or two. You know what I mean? But shortly after, because it's not like he got to the hospital, blah, 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 he was fine. It sounds like when he got to the hospital, he was in the middle of ODing.
Yeah, and that's what scares me because it's almost like due to what the medical examiner said is the reason they charged this man. But what
Ooh,
if,
that's a really good
okay, the other guy
point.
that was help holding him down, where was he holding this man at?
The other guy was like holding his legs. You know what I mean?
Okay,
Like
so
he
he
was
was holding him
holding.
down. So he must have been kicking or whatever, trying to hurt somebody.
Yeah, like they were both like, Mr. Penny had him up and then the other guy had him like down more towards like the his legs and.
Yeah, and he was just basically they were just trying to hold him till law enforcement got there.
Right, exactly. Well,
Yeah,
and
that's a tough situation.
like Trishy says, this might have been or it sounds like he might have been prosecuted for political reasons. Who was the district attorney? And that's a really good, great question. The DA is, let's see.
You would think though, with this man being a Marine, that it would be, but that's the thing they always say, right? Military people say they get into a scuffle outside of a restaurant or something like that. They consider them a weapon because of their training, but in a
Yeah, good
way, when
point.
something like this happens, you need somebody like that to step in because evidently nobody else was willing to step in.
Okay,
And do
so
they
it's
do they want
Alvin
him to wait?
Bragg. Okay, it's Alvin Bragg, Manhattan District Attorney. So it's out of Manhattan.
Yeah, political. Yeah, it's possible.
Yeah, that guy's kind of, well, without getting too political or anything, I've heard, I'm definitely familiar with that guy.
This comes back to where either you support the troops or you don't, whether you support somebody that stepped in before somebody got really hurt. I mean, there's just ways to look at it. We don't know what this guy would have done because he didn't hit anybody, but he was already throwing things, which means that his anger was getting more and more and more.
Yeah, he's like throwing trash at people. Like I'd be scared. I'd be scared. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I've dealt with crazy people before. But I'd be, especially if you have your kid with you or something, or, um, yeah,
Yeah,
I'd be
that
annoyed too because
is
I wouldn't want to deal with that on my way home from work.
Yeah, that is pretty tough, though. I mean, it's hard. You wouldn't want to be the DA. You wouldn't want to be the prosecutor. You wouldn't want to be the judge, on something like this. But I mean, of course, that's who they pick to do it. But I'm sure that they're looking at this basically in two ways, right? Like, Oh, it's got to be tough, especially for that Marine, that young man that feels like he was protecting people, and then he got punished for it. And this is, like you said earlier, why people don't want to intervene.
Yeah, yeah, and that's what I'm worried about. I'm worried about it setting precedents, and then also like people just hearing on, word on the street is if you try to be the hero, you might end up in, handcuffs
Is he
yourself.
supposed to wait? Is he supposed to wait for this man to actually struck someone, hit a woman, hit a child, pick him up and throw him down? Are we supposed to wait for something like that to happen before we intervene?
I mean, that's what I feel like too. I'm like, okay, so would it be different if somebody was knocked out on the subway or if somebody was, hurt badly and then Mr. Penny stepped in, then he would, he'd be on the front page of every newspaper.
Yeah,
But,
that's
you
true.
know,
Like it's a hard one. It'd be a hard one to have to do. Like period. It would be. I'm sure it was hard for anybody to charge this man after watching that video. I mean, I only seen a little bitty bit of it, and I mean, I'm sure he felt in his heart that he was doing the right thing, and oh, that would be
yeah.
hard. It's a mix of everything, right? It's a mix of the substance. It's a mix of what happened that led up to this. But of course, they're putting it all on one person instead of. It's like they're avoiding the substance and basically blaming it on this young man, and that has to be a hard one to swallow, right?
I mean, it really is, especially when you consider this man's only a 24-year-old guy. I mean, and a lot of times, people enlist when they're 18. So let's say he went from 18 to 22 or whatever. And then he just recently maybe got out, you know what I mean? So,
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, he's
that's
just
hard. That's
starting
a
his
hard
life.
one.
So I think it's really sad.
What other clips do
I
you
feel
have?
for him.
What other clips do you have that you can play? Like you can get a little more information.
Let's see what we got.
And I'm gonna run and go get a water and stuff. I'll be right back. Okay.
Yeah, sure
All
thing.
right. I'll
Sure
be right back.
thing.
Oh.
No worries. I know that I know see and like Gracie said, there's not a whole lot of information like when it comes to like what happened exactly because the trial was kind of closed door. It wasn't like it was televised. But I would love to have been a fly on the wall. I did hear that he had character witnesses that came in, so his family members came in, letting him know, or excuse me, letting the judge and jury know what a good person he is. And I think that character witnesses do go a long way. But then again, they may say, hey, this is their family member sort of thing, and not really give it a whole lot of weight. They may take it with a grain of salt. Sorry, the DA looks like he's soft and on rug crimes, homeless, but hard on self-defense. Yeah, I mean that's the thing. I really feel like it was either self-defense or maybe even just um protecting others, but I don't know what that would. I guess that would fall under just defense, like self-defense. But that's a really good point, Trishy. They charged him, Tony. Yeah, they charged that poor little young man, 24-year-old, and they're in jury deliberations right now, so we're on verdict watch. And I just thought it would be something interesting. Rich said pick a couple cases. Well, and I said, okay, you pick a couple. Well, I'll pick a couple. And this one was brought in by Gracie. So Gracie was, we were talking about it last night, and then I was like, oh, I saw that. And so we had a little bit of a conversation on last night's live. And then today I saw it on closing arguments, and I was like, oh, okay, the jury is in deliberations. So let's see. And I really think it'll be settled by tomorrow. I'm hoping that he, will be found innocent, of course. That's just my opinion. I really hope for that. Um, okay, so you found a picture of that, Sandy. Oh my goodness. I mean, and it is very, it is triggering. I mean, that was a human being. I do feel for Mr. Neely. It's not that I don't feel for Mr. Neely because I don't think anybody deserves to, um, like I wouldn't want to see anybody harmed or anybody hurt, but in the same way, it's like, you know, what's right is right, and I try to look at the situation subjectively, and then you know, stick up for the person who I think. And sometimes, you know, both people are in the wrong, but if I thought for one second that Mr. Penny had malicious intent, I think my opinion would change dramatically. However, I really don't feel that way. I think it was just kind of an instinctual thing, and he didn't know, um, you know, he didn't know what the outcome was going to be, and especially he didn't know what was going on afterwards, because he probably went home, and then the next thing you know, this guy's ODing in the hospital from allegedly, from what it says in the news articles we read. Yeah, trash being thrown at people is,
Yeah, it
you
is.
know, yeah, that's
That,
mistreating somebody, absolutely.
that is
And
assault.
so that should be stopped. Yeah, I would he and that's what they're trained to do, is to stop the immediate threat. And they were basically, it looked like they were holding him down, you know, they were just holding him down. Yes, um Mr. Penny like definitely reacted in that way and like grabbed him up, but like it wasn't like he was violently hurting him or anything like that. He was just basically, um you
Well, he
know,
was
in my
fine
opinion, from what
after.
I saw, he was just trying to hold him back. And then, like I said, there was another man who had also stepped in. And you know, and that's another thing, I kind of just popped in my brain. Is like, that's what happens. The mob mentality can kind of work both ways, or the monkey see, monkey do kind of mentality can work both ways. You know, if everybody's pulling their phones out and filming, you know, that's what other people are going to do, right? But if somebody steps in and helps, somebody else is more apt to step in and help. You know,
Yeah,
that's just kind of my theory.
that's true.
Um, but Rich, are you back?
I'm here. Yeah.
Okay, cool. What do you think about that? I mean, do you think it's like, when somebody's brave and they step up, do you think other people do? Do you think it's kind of something where, I mean, what do you think about that?
Well, if say for instance he wouldn't have thrown things at people and he wouldn't have been ranting and raving saying that he didn't care if he went to jail and he didn't, you know, that's basically verbal threats for one, and then throwing trash, that is assault. And so it's so hard, right? It's such a thin line, I guess you can say. But now if the man would have completely went out right then and there and before he let go of him, then that would be different, right? That would be a hard one to do, because then you could say, well, he choked him too hard or whatever. But since not, he was still with us until the hospital, that says something totally different, because that means that he was still okay. Like he still had, his heart was still going and everything until later on, right? Hour, 30, 45 minutes, hour, whatever it may be that it took him to get to the hospital. So that does kind of make you feel like this man did what he felt he needed to do to protect people on that subway. So to me, you can look at it as he's a hero, right? In one way, he kept his oath, right? He protected people, probably women, children, no telling who was on that thing. So
Right.
you kind of got to say, yes, he's a hero. And then you kind of got to look at what everybody else thinks that on the other side of the table is, if there was a way just to hold him down without doing what he did, right? But then, which means that if he's underneath him holding him, he would have to physically let go, crawl out from under this guy, which means if the other guy that's holding him couldn't hold him, then he's loose again, right? And then that means that it might be even
Right.
worse. So you got to look at both sides, and then you got to feel that. I mean, with everything that happened, and I without seeing the whole video, it's hard to say, but you feel like this man did what any law enforcement officer, any true hero would have done, right? That's what you got to look at.
I mean,
And
that's definitely my opinion of it. I look at Mr. Penny as doing the heroic thing. definitely. Like I said, if I thought he was doing it in a mean way, or like, oh, I'm gonna get this guy for whatever reason, or if they had like maybe a previous beef on the on the subway, then maybe I would think that he was doing it in a way just to harm him. But I think he was really trying to
Yeah, you can't
legitimately
look at it that way.
help others.
He gave him time. It's not like if the guy had time to scream and yell all this and throw trash at people, he had plenty of time to calm down, right? But evidently he was getting more and more and more aggressive, and that's why he felt like he needed to step in. And the tape should prove that, right? So
Yeah, I mean, and especially too, like that they're saying they administered the Narcan. Then I'm like, okay, that's a whole nother ball game, right?
that could have caused what happened to happen. So you just don't know, because we don't know. I'm sure they don't know what every substance that was in his body. He could have been doing substances all day long. We don't know.
I mean, and
So
just the way that they put it, they were like, we don't care if he had enough to, sedate an elephant or whatever. Like, I don't, that's not a direct quote, guys. I'm paraphrasing, but like, oh my gosh. So really, you wouldn't care if he had like, 20 pounds of, Colombian
well,
Bam Bam in his,
I mean, the paramedic had to think that it was from the substance, or they wouldn't have injected him with that. So
Right,
I hope they put
exactly.
that
Yeah,
person on
and
the
they know
stand.
what to look for. I mean, they know what to look for in that situation. It's not their first rodeo, that's for sure. They
Yeah.
deal with that every day, and unfortunately, probably multiple times a day.
And hopefully they put him on the stand. Hopefully put that paramedic that administered that on the stand, right?
Yeah.
Why did you decide to use Narcan? Right? Does this guy have a history? Have you had to do this to him before? Like, that would have all been something to try to find out, right?
I
And
would think so.
because you're not
Yeah.
just going to want, I mean, a paramedic's not just going to randomly come up to somebody and stick them with Narcan, right?
Right.
They had to know something, right? Either he had foam at his mouth from a substance, something had to be there for them to stick that needle in him. I mean, at least that's how I see it. Of course, that's my opinion, and that's just my opinion. But there had to be a reason, right? If there's any nurses in here, I'm sure they can probably answer that question. There had to be a reason that paramedic felt that Narcan needed to be used. So, like I said, the history of this gentleman or something had to play a role in that. They say usually they know. Usually those paramedics in those areas know who's had problems before with substances and who hasn't. Right? They pretty much know that.
Right, exactly. And they know this, they know the signs and symptoms of it,
Yeah.
for lack of a way to say it. I know that, that drugs don't typically give the symptoms, but maybe like side effects of it, more or less. Side effects is probably better.
Yeah. And that's the thing. You just have to. It's such a thin line to cross on this, because you're not everybody feels the same, right? This is more of a, especially in a way, a political thing, right? Like, this is,
Mm-hmm.
because to me, it's like, how could you? I mean, the officers that were there in the beginning didn't feel like he needed to be arrested, because if they would have felt that way, they would have arrested him there. They wouldn't have waited 10 days, right? So evidently, they felt like what this man did was okay, right, and justified. Because believe me, the officers in New York City are tough, right? I mean, after 9/11, they've really tough people there. So
Well, and I think New Yorkers are really tough. And I also think that after 9/11, New Yorkers really stepped up and was like, wait a minute, if there's a terrorist act, then we need to do something about it. And I think that's a great point. That just made me think of maybe that's why the other citizen jumped in.
yeah, well, more than one did jump in. If there's two people holding this man, then that means two people were involved. So to me, if you're going to charge one for wrongdoing, then you might as well charge both for wrongdoing.
Exactly.
But
Yeah.
evidently that didn't happen. So it's so hard to say. That's what I mean. It's so hard to say. And something in that video, I still think it comes down to the medical examiner, right? Like you said, like if they would have made this any other thing. Like if they would have said, yes, it's part the chokehold and it's part the substance, we wouldn't be talking about it. But
Truth. I
since
mean,
they
that's
labeled
I
it,
think there's a fair amount of truth in that. Yeah, absolutely.
since they labeled it the way they labeled it, they felt like, oh, if we don't charge them, we're gonna have, people are gonna be marching in the streets, right? Like this is gonna be a movement if we don't do something, right? So, which is sad that they felt that way, but I mean, I'm sure the tape went viral everywhere. I'm sure right after it happened that the video went viral, and it would be interesting to see what people were on what side, right? Were there some politicians and other people on his side, and were there some on the other side? It's usually split like that, but it's we know the law enforcement was on his side because they didn't arrest him right away.
Right, exactly. And they probably just figured themselves like, okay, well, we got him. We're gonna take him right to the hospital. He does have a faint pulse. Let's get, they sprung the action too to help save this guy too. And that's what that stuff does. It slows everything down, everything. And then also you add that synthetic Mary Jane, and you're going to be even more slowed down. You're and well, sometimes it just depends, because you don't know what's in the synthetic stuff. You just don't know.
We don't know exactly what he had, if it was really bad, if it was mild, if it was mixed with something that was really bad. We don't know. I mean, this man could have sat down on that train, and the same thing happened without even being Mr. Penning involved, right? Like it could have been the substance that caused this problem. So it's too hard to say. Like I feel like if he would have been gone before he let go, then yes, you can argue the point of that we might need to charge this man. But if he wasn't gone when he let go, then you kind of got to say, okay, he wasn't really responsible for what happened 30 minutes or an hour later,
I know
right?
exactly. How can he be responsible for something that happened much later? And then also when there's clearly rugs in this man's system, he wasn't in a great state of mind. I mean, I really, yeah, it's to me, it's I mean, there's just too many factors that are pointing to um that maybe he shouldn't have been charged at all. Like at all.
Yeah, that's what I'm
So,
saying. You can look at it both ways, right? Some people feel that he should have been, and some people feel that he shouldn't have been, right? And I'm
right.
sure all his military buddies and everybody are supporting him, right? Because they would probably have done the same thing, right? That's part of who they are. They fight for our country. They're supposed to do these things, right? Just like law enforcement, just like any first responder. You're supposed to always try to de-escalate a situation, right? And it's not like he like punched and hit on the man. He just basically grabbed him, trying to hold him, right?
That's
And,
right. He
and
didn't beat on him or anything like that.
no, and he didn't
Exactly.
literally
Yeah,
like
exactly
just
right.
choke him so bad that he couldn't breathe. I mean, because if he still had a pulse, then that means to tell me he didn't have him that hard. Like he was just basically holding him. Maybe the guy was fighting him, trying to get up, and was making it worse, right? We don't know. Without seeing the whole video, it's going to be hard to tell.
Yeah, it you know what, it is really hard. And you, like you said too, we don't have like what was being said. We don't have what
Yeah.
was really transpiring. So that's very difficult to kind of make a totally informed decision. But I think there's a lot of factors. Um can you see the scroll, Rich? Do you see that scroll on there?
The what?
Do you see the scroll on the screen, like the
Yeah, I
little,
see the
like on
skull
the
at the
bottom?
bottom. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
pretty cool. I see it now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I figured out how to do it. I was like, "Oh,
All
hey, look at me.
right.
Look at me go."
That's pretty cool.
And
That's
I
pretty
put
good.
Ruby in there, a little there, it looked like a little service dog in there. He had a little vest on it, and
Yeah, that's
it was
pretty
a
cool.
black
It just
dog,
kind of
just like
keeps
Ruby.
rolling and rolling. So it's just like a little thing, and it just keeps going and going and going, huh?
Yeah, like sometimes like you can put like a cash app in there or whatever. Like sometimes, or buy me another thing I've seen in there is like buy me a coffee or buy me a Coke or something like that. Um but I thought that was cool, and I just wanted to write a little message to our
That's a cute
chatters
little
in
way.
here.
Yeah, that's a
So
cute little way to do it. And I bet you can like change the colors up all the time, right? Like you can do different colors on different nights of the week.
yeah, so you can do any color you want. It's got like one of those color wheels, and you can like, toggle over and stuff and pick whatever you like. So like we could do like blue, or we could do pink, or however. But yeah, see the little dog? And then there's a
Yeah, that's
little
so cute.
paws and
I
a
like
bone
it.
for Ruby.
I like it. I like it. Yeah,
I had to put
that's
a beagle
nice
on
that
there, but
you.
I don't have a beagle. There wasn't a
Yeah, now
beagle
now it's
emoji.
pretty cool. How it just kind
Yeah.
of just keeps going and going and going. And now the chat is bigger for me. So whatever you did, I can read the chat now way better than it just being little bitty bitty.
Oh, good. I'm glad. I was trying to tweak things like right before we went on. And then also for anybody that's a member, I went ahead and I created 4 new emojis. So you guys need to go in there and check them out. Um, 4
That's
new
cool.
emojis, and anybody that is a member can pop those up on the screen. And I was looking because I thought that like Tony, I see Tony is in green, and I see that she has, and see Sandy's, Sandy's in blue because she's a mod. Tony, I tried to send you an email to mod you up, girl, and I hope it worked. And
Well, like if you do the invite and once they accept your invite, it'll automatically pop them that X wherever title you chose for them.
oh,
So when you
okay,
go
okay.
back, right, you'll know because when you go back in there to look again, like if they accepted your invite, then they'll be in there and the X will be their email will be under your email and it'll have their title. So like if you
Oh,
go
okay,
into your studio
cool.
right now and click on that button like I showed you and go to settings, click on it, go to permissions. When you open it up, it'll have underneath your name the next person in line.
Yes, that's Sebastian. Yep, yep. I did. Okay, so because Sebastian likes, he loves the Star Wars, and so I found like a Jedi with the green lightsaber, and then I put his cute little self on there for it.
That's pretty cool. I
Um,
like how you got that on the bottom. That's neat.
yeah, I thought it was cool, and you can like write whatever you want. You can create like all the different ones. And when I came in, I was like, how come it's not scrolling? I was like, I set the scroll up for Rich, because I knew that you was like, hey, set that scroll up, because you're like, have you put it in there? And I was like, well, I tried the first time, but then I realized that like once you're in here, you have to go back into banners and click on it again. And I was like, oh, that's
Oh,
why.
okay. Well,
So
at least
yeah.
you got it. You got it down now, though.
Oh, that's my pug Charlie. He passed away, but he's always gonna be my mascot. Um, yeah. And then Ruby, I put Ruby in as emoji.
I see it.
So-
What a crazy dog. She didn't
but
get
I'm
to
gonna
run
make
very
some more
much
custom
today.
emojis for you guys, so that way you guys could just like, you know, it's just kind of fun. You know what I mean? That way. And maybe we'll put. I know some of the other creators, like I've seen like Nancy Grace, like her picture.
Yeah, and they use different, and that's cool that you can go in and create different ones. That's what's kind of neat is you can go in and create them, and
Oh my
then
gosh,
like
I
you
had
can.
so much fun. Like I was trying to hurry up because I started it at 8 o'clock. So I was like, I want to make the emoji so I can announce them tonight so everybody can see them. And then I found that little lizard with his tongue sticking out, and I put little hearts on his eyes.
And see, I
But I love
wonder.
doing that. Like that's my favorite thing, is to like make the graphics and stuff, because it's so much fun. Like I can sit there and mess with it for a long time. I was making sure I wasn't going to be late though. I wanted, because
And you can put emojis. Can you put
oh,
like
cool.
pictures
Yes,
on
Sandy.
there, like actual pictures on that scroll?
Yeah. Well, in this one, I can put the emojis like on the scroll, but like if you want to, if I go in and I do the custom emoji, it'll like everybody in the chat can put them up. in the chat.
Oh, okay. Because I was wondering, like that line. You know how it just keeps scrolling and scrolling. It'd be a good idea. Like I don't know if this is possible, but to take like where you have like a blank spot, you know, in between that doesn't have writing, and put
Uh-huh.
like pictures, like missing flyers, all in there of people that are missing. That would be kind of cool.
Oh, I know. I don't think I can do it,
You would
but
have to
I
scale them
could do
down really
custom
small
emojis
though,
of
but
that.
it would be kind of neat, like, you know, to do that. Like if you could just take like, you know, 10 people and just pop their little flyers in there in an open spot like that, and it would just keep rolling around every time. Yeah, it would be hard to see unless you're on like, but if you're on a TV, that's going to be huge, right? If you're watching this on a TV, that line is going to be way, way bigger.
It's gonna be a lot bigger. I know. Yeah. I mean, yeah,
It just,
that would. I'm trying to think. You know, what would be. I wish I could do like a slideshow. Like you know how we have our bubble. Like here's my bubble. Here's your bubble. I'd like it. I'd like to do like in between there. I wish there was a way you could do like a little teeny tiny screen and then do that on a like a slideshow of missing.
well, you got your picture up there. I saw that.
Oh yeah, did you see that? So that way, like if I decided to
How
do
did
the
you do
cam,
that?
yeah,
How
then we
did you
just
do
do
it?
my
How'd you
mug
figure it
there.
out?
And so,
How'd you figure out how to
I
do
don't know
that?
why. What it was is like the picture was too big, and so I had to just crop the headshot. But then, like whenever I cropped the headshot, I had to scroll down, and whenever I would click on it, it would like take the thing off, you know, where I cropped it. And so I was like,
Oh,
ah, I was
okay,
like getting
okay.
so frustrated with it.
That's pretty neat. Like, and so I guess if I was to do one, I would just have to pick a photo somehow and put it in my little Rich and Ruby square, and then
Yeah,
it
like
would come up.
yeah, when you go into the studio, like when you come into studio, it should say edit, like it'll have your box and it'll say Rich and Ruby, and then if you click on the little plus sign box that's right
Mm-hmm.
next to it, it'll say edit edit
Photo.
photo.
And then I can just pick a photo out of my library, pop it up there, and then that'll be the
Oh,
photo.
thank you so much. Freebird says that we have great radio voices.
We have great radio voices. Thank you so much.
Oh, Sandy, thank you.
You know, it'd be cool too. Is like I thought about if there was a way to take the chat and actually put it in their voices, like where they would say their comment instead of typing it. Wouldn't that be interesting? That'd be neat, right?
Oh man, I wish
You
that
see what
that
I'm
would
saying?
be
If it was
pretty
voice,
cool. Like it'd
if
be
it,
cool if there was like a like a little bubble next to it and we could press it and then it would be like, you know, Sandy saying something or
yeah,
Freebird
it would be
saying,
their
you know, or
voice. That would be
Trichy or
kind of
somebody. That
cool.
would be
Like,
really neat. That would be really neat.
yeah, like say right there, take that one, right? It would be Lady Freedom and Rich have great radio voices. It would be her voice saying that instead of, you know, you can do voice text, right? Like I wonder if you do the
Yeah.
voice text, if it would come out as a voice.
No, I wish it would. I wish it would. That would
That'd
be
be
really
cool, right?
neat.
That'd be cool. That way
Oh, that
they
is
could
so
like
true, Sandy.
input.
That would be great for blind people. That way they could hear it. Yeah,
Yeah, that way we would
absolutely.
know what they sound like, right? It would be like we would get to hear them.
Oh, okay. Yahoo Chat has something like that, Freebird says. So that's interesting.
Yahoo
That's really
Chat had
interesting.
something like that. See, I'm telling you, I think I've seen it before.
Yeah.
Like it's an option on every iPhone. And that's what I'm wondering if there's a way. I'm gonna mess with it and see if I can figure it out. I mean, I'm not too savvy on like, you know, social media stuff, but like these kind of things I can figure out.
I know that's a great idea. I think well, and another thing that I really wish they would do with YouTube is like I wish they would allow you to well, for one, see everybody that's even in here watching. Like I wish that I maybe if you do it on a laptop you can see it, but it like I just know how many people are in here, but that would be cool. And then also like for gifting memberships, I wish you could send a friend a membership, like gift a friend. I want them to do that. I was gonna email them and ask them why you can't do that because I thought that would be pretty cool. So you could actually like send like a membership to one of your friends. You know what I mean? Instead of it just landing on someone random.
Yeah, and Yahoo is still used. You can still use Yahoo, like it's everywhere. And I know it's different phones, right? Like I think Androids use Google, iPhones use Safari. Like everyone uses a different technique of like searching and all that stuff. But I still have Yahoo emails like from 15 years ago.
That's hilarious. Oh
I do.
gosh.
I have like 3 or 4 of them. Like some of my work emails are Yahoo still. So
That's
yeah, I
so
mean
funny.
it's
That is
a
so
lot of
funny.
them are now Gmail, but yeah, it still is. You remember like it was what did it used to be like AOL or something? When the first emails first came out, there was like some weird names for emails, and now, of course, mainly all of them now are like Gmail or whatever. But it is, and hey, has anybody found out if they found that grandma in the sinkhole? I don't know why this
Ooh,
is
that's a good
stressing me
question. Okay,
out.
yeah, let's get into grandma. What have you has anybody like are they doing it like how we were talking about baby Jessica last night or
Yes, they're digging.
they're
They're
digging?
in there like they're digging all day, right? I did a couple
Uh
of videos today on her, and it was just it's just such a sad. Like this woman went out to get her cat and like stepped somewhere in her yard, and it just fell in.
oh
And
my
now they
goodness.
can't
And
find
now
her.
they didn't find the cat, right? They didn't find the cat.
I don't think they found her or the cat.
Oh, poor kitty too,
But
huh?
if the cat, I mean, the cat, of course, can handle a lot further drop like that than a human. But it has
Oh.
been like 48 hours now or 44 hours now. That's a long time. And you would think by now they could have lowered somebody down in there instead of digging it all up.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, oh my gosh. And then
No, she hasn't
how
been
deep
found.
did
I
it
see
go
it was the
down? Do you
recovery
know like
earlier. I
how
saw
deep it
that.
was?
This is sad. So this is a grandma, man. This is somebody's grandma, and I don't know. You know me. I'm just partial when it comes to things like this. It's like you want people to get in there and like just jump in the hole and go try to find her, right? Like don't worry about digging. Just lower yourself down there.
Exactly, exactly. Thank you
I mean,
so
it's
much,
got to have a
Freebird. You
bottom to
guys,
it.
like, I'm so grateful for you guys being in the chat. I just want to make sure that we make the members, the memberships worth your while. So I wanted to get those emojis put up and stuff like that. I'm just, I wanted to make sure we did that for you guys. And then we'll figure some fun stuff out. Like, I mean, of course, we'll do like a members only, like we'll do members only stuff, but we'll also figure something fun out. Like I said, Mr. and Mrs. E, they do like a trivia, which I thought sounded like a really like
Do
fun.
something like that
Um
with missing cases or something like take names, right? And like whoever sent, like get people to send you a missing persons flyer that they're interested in, right? Your members. And then take all those flyers and put them in like a shuffle and then hit it and let it just shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. Whichever one it stops on, that's the person that gets whatever you want to give away. That's what I want to do with mine when I get there. I'm still a baby right now, but when I get there.
that's a really good idea. I mean, that's what I mean. Just something fun. You know what I mean? So people feel like, hey, okay, well, I'm not just a member. Like, we have some fun stuff that's special. You know what I mean? Like, you're not just
Yeah,
paying for
thank you,
nothing.
Freebird.
So,
That was so nice to sub up. That's nice.
yeah, yeah.
Because I am a baby. I mean, I've only been out for what, like a month and 4 or 5 days.
Sandy, you crack me up. Well, I was thinking 2012, and I was like, well, maybe it wasn't as long ago as I thought. And then Trushi said the 90s, and I was like, oh yeah, the 90s.
Yeah, like that was
Oh boy.
like this is kind of like this the like them searching for this grandma reminds me of like the coal miners. Remember a few years ago that were trapped and they had to they were sliding bottles of water through that one piece of pipe for all those men that were down there,
Yes,
and then they ended up
yes.
rescuing them. And then baby
Mm.
Jessica, of course, that was everybody was so. I remember America was so happy when that man brought that little baby out of that hole.
I know that was something. That was something else. I think that's gonna be how it is with Grandma. I hope that maybe.
I know. I'm praying.
I hope that
I'm
maybe
trying to
she's
keep
all
the faith.
right. You know.
And I know they're saying it's a recovery, but I always keep the faith. Like until you tell me otherwise, I still feel like maybe. I mean, we don't know how far back that thing goes. Like if it is an old mine shaft, it could go back hundreds of feet, right?
I mean, yeah, that's what I'm thinking. That's why I was like, do you know? Did they say how how far down it went.
They haven't said
I'm
anything. They've
curious.
just been digging and digging and digging, but they're stopping like at nighttime, I think. And that's what I didn't understand. Like, this is something, this is a life. Like, keep digging, right? Put some other people in there and keep digging all 24 hours a day.
Exactly. I mean, like, I'm sure they're doing everything they can, but I mean, that seems like a really big task
Yeah, that's why I
to.
see. If I was there, I'd have done propelled down in there and I'd be in there climbing around. Like, I wouldn't, there's no way. I couldn't just stand up there and watch like that. There's no way.
I know. Well, typically in a situation like that, like, how do they get down there?
Okay, what you have to do is just get somebody to tie a rope onto a tree or something nearby and just walk out there as far as you can walk and hold on to clip to you and then just start lowering yourself down the hole with a flashlight.
Oh my
And then
God,
when
that's it?
you're going to eventually reach bottom somewhere, it has to have a bottom. So once you hit
Right.
bottom, then let's like maybe keep the rope tied on for a little bit until you can wander around to see and make sure the ground is good and just start searching, right? Like, I don't know. That's just me. I feel like, you got to act quick, right? You got to act quick. You got to act fast. And that's what it takes sometimes is the difference between, living and not is how quick you react to it. But I mean, I'm not there, so I don't know. And I don't know what it's like. I mean, you can see the picture of the hole and it looks like looks like it was maybe in like the middle of her yard and she just went walking across the yard and just fell down in the hole.
Yeah, that's so weird.
Yeah, it's like the grass just like went with her, like a section of grass, just like it didn't look like a very big hole either. Like you would think that those would be marked, right? You wouldn't think they would build a neighborhood on an old mine shaft like that.
I know you would think that would be very dangerous, but like even in Springfield, there, Missouri, there is a lot of sinkholes.
Yeah, but how many times
Around
have
the
you
area
mowed the
because there's
yard?
because there's caves.
Yeah, but think about how many times that yard been mowed, right? And nobody's ever fallen in. What made it this one time fall in, right?
That's really a good question. Well, and even like Freebird just said, do we remember Susan Powell? They thought that her husband Josh put her in a mine shaft in Utah. And
Yeah,
I do remember her, and I do
yeah,
remember her little babies too.
I remember that.
Um,
I do remember that. And you know what? There was one that was found, 5, 6 months ago, I think, that somebody was found. They were looking for somebody else and they found someone down in an old well shaft like that. And I don't remember. It's been probably 4 or 5. Okay, it's whenever the mother and the mother's the lady that was there for the visitation, and remember the grandma and them were really they took those moms and put them down in the ground or whatever. That it was during that case, and
oh,
when it
okay.
happened, and I think they were looking for them, and they came across another set of remains down in another well shaft, and of course it had been there a lot longer, but it they found somebody else looking for those two moms, and that was another sad, break your heart story right there. I mean, she just went to go get her kids, right? And oh, and that was the mischief or something. Remember something like that? They were the mischief or part of a mischief or something. You remember that story?
I don't think I remember that. No, I don't
The
think I remember.
redheaded, the redheaded mother that was fighting to get her kids back from the grandma, and she was like a mischief leader or something, and it was like her and her boyfriend and 2 or 3 other people or 4 other people that when she came to come pick up her babies to take them to the birthday, like she vanished, right? Her and her friend that had came from the church with her that was there during the visitation or pickup or whatever. And she had always brought someone with her. And the
Where
grandma
was it in
and all these
Oklahoma?
people, they attacked these 2 women, right? And then put them in a big deep freezer thing and put them like 20 foot in the ground.
Now I know
Trigger
it was
warning.
in
It was
Oklahoma the
horrible.
case, wasn't it? I think
It was horrible.
that's horrible. That is horrible. So
And they
Susan
found them due to
Powell,
cell phone
Tony,
technology. Cell
she
phone technology is what led them to I think Cole was one of the guys' names, and then I can't remember the grandma's name. She just
I
looked
can't
very nice.
remember their like when you told me their names, but when you said redhead and then you said the freezer, I was like, oh yeah.
Somebody's gonna know who we're talking about. She was a little short, redheaded mom, and then the lady that was with her was the blonde, and she was from the church, and
Yeah.
she had went to get her kids for their birthday party. She had set up a birthday party for the children, and like they never came back. And then they found their car abandoned, and then they found all that stuff that led them to believe something had happened. And then, of course, they started tracking cell phone data, and they used burner phones, and they were able to track them and find where they had put them. And yeah, that Nancy Grace broke it. It was
I
really
remember
sad,
that.
sad
Yes,
story.
yes. Well, in Tony with the Susan Powell case, so Susan and Josh Powell were married, and they had two little boys. It was a very creepy, bizarre case. Um, they were, well, they were part of the LDS, but then they weren't. It didn't seem like they were like ultra religious, but Susan was trying to get away from Josh and his father, who was obsessed with her. Like he used to like tape her 24/7. They lived in the same house and he used to do like really nasty stuff like take her like used feminine products after they were yeah and
Oh,
would like save them and stuff and like do creepy stuff. He'd take like her undergarments and stuff like that and like he was constantly like flirting like and telling her like you're so beautiful Susan and like he like made poems and songs about her. It was weird. So she decided that she was going to go ahead and leave that situation, and during that time she was unalived by her husband Josh, but he took her out somewhere into the Utah desert at night, and he didn't like leave the boys with anybody. He took the boys with him, and so when they were interviewed in the forensic interview, the children were telling the social workers that their mommy was out by the crystals and that they left. She stayed when they went on a camping trip, and now they went on a camping trip in the middle of the night. And then her parents ended up getting, because she was missing, and they ended up getting some temporary custody of the boys, and her husband Josh received supervised visits. Well, when the social worker brought them to the supervised visit, he he let the little boys in, and then he slammed the door on the social worker, and the
oh, I
social
remember
worker
that.
calls
Yeah.
911. And she's telling them like he locked them in the house. I can smell gas, like a heavy smell of gasoline, and he blew himself and the boys up in the house.
I remember
And
that. Remember that.
yeah, yeah, do you remember that?
I remember because the social worker, yeah, like she didn't catch up, I think, fast enough. The boys took off running or something like that, right?
Yes. Yeah, because that was their daddy, they were little boys
Yeah,
too.
but
They
you
were like
still, as a
6 and
social
4.
worker, you have to hold them tight, hold their hands, and walk them up there, right?
How about it? You never know what a parent's gonna do when they're, up against, backed into a corner, even if it's,
Yeah,
um,
but that's your children. Like that's still your children, man.
I know.
Oh.
Rich, you don't know. That's too funny. I know. I had to put that part in there though because it was like so weird, like for that father-in-law to do that and to take her stuff like that and then to be creeping with it. It was like, oh gosh,
Yeah,
who
that's
does
tough.
that?
That's tough, right? That's one of these things that scares you, right?
Well, yeah, and like I mean, you start then I'm sure she was kind of thinking like what can I do to make him not like want to do that with, you know what I mean? Because that would be so
Yeah.
terrible.
That's one of these. Oh my gosh, that's so scary, right? That's just to think about it is. I bet that social worker was losing her mind, right? Like
Yeah, I mean, I bet you she feels so bad. Like, I would feel horrible, like you said, like if I let the little ones get ahead of me like that. I mean,
Yeah, because you can't if you can't catch up, then that's when things like that happen, right? And I mean, I'm
yeah.
not saying that it was her fault. I'm not saying that at all, but it's just you can't. She couldn't control it. They just took off running like that, right? I mean, it happened, but
Yeah, and
oh,
they were, you know, for those little guys, they just wanted to like be around their daddy, you know. They were excited to see him. They hadn't seen him in a little bit and it was their visit time, you
yeah,
know, and so they just wanted to go up and you know, and she probably didn't really at the time think anything of it, but it's definitely something where you should consider the safety of the kids first. And yeah, like you said, hold their little hands one on each side and um you know,
yeah.
that sort of thing.
It is.
So
It's a sad situation. Those little boys didn't deserve that, right? And it's yeah, it's just a sad situation. And
yeah, Stephen Powell was the dad's name, and he was released in 2017 because he served his time for 6 years for voyeurism and child SA material.
oh my gosh,
Yeah. And Josh had some deviancies himself. He like watched like cartoon stuff that was inappropriate or corn, we should say.
mm,
Cartoon corn. So
wow.
he was a real gem.
Mm-mm-mm. And you know, it reminds me of that case with the mother. What was her name? That Suzanne Smith, the one that
Oh
put her
yeah,
boys in the
Susan
car,
Smith. Yes.
and it was like I took a break from the fire because it was smoking so bad I couldn't breathe. I had to come out to the front. But it was just it. Remember, and she blamed it on someone else or something, and then oh, that was another one that was golly.
Mm.
And then she was going to get like paroled or something, right? Recently. And then thank God that she was denied. But
I mean, I felt so sorry for her ex-husband. I mean, I'm
yeah,
glad that he was able to move on from it because I know he remarried and things like that. And I mean, oh my gosh, I like he's a brave person for putting his heart back out there after what happened to his babies, you know what I mean? And I'm so glad that he had the strength to come on. That was like a really good week for justice because we had Laken Riley who got some justice. We had Leilani Simon was sentenced that same week. And then we had the Susan Powell, she's denied. Or I'm sorry, Susan Smith was denied parole.
yeah, it was one of those that mother was I don't know, she was I mean, didn't she blame she said I think some man like took her car and took her kids or something? Is that what it was? I think that when it was been so long ago. I think that's
Yeah,
what she said is somebody stole her car and her kids and then
yeah, she said she was like, they're missing. I don't know where they are. And she went on TV and she was like crying and stuff and like told her husband, no, I don't know where they are. And she know dang well where they were because she had them in the back seat and they were strapped into their little car seats and she put them in a lake.
that diver, remember that diver when he came up, he couldn't. Oh, that poor man. That
Yes.
diver that
And you
had to
know,
go in there.
Freebird, I used to watch Adventures with Purpose until and I thought they were great. I mean, they helped a lot with the sonar and stuff. I watched the other two gentlemen, but not the guy who was accused of essaying his family members.
What is that about? Adventures with. What is that like? Is that a YouTube channel or something?
Yeah, so it was a bunch of guys who oh, the one that unalived her babies in um the Andrea Yates was her name.
Mm,
Um
mm.
but but yeah, Adventures with Purpose, basically what they do, Rich, is they were a search team, and they used sonar technology, and they were really, really good at finding people in bodies of water. And I mean, they solved a lot of cases, a lot of cold cases. They worked on the Kylie Rodney case as well.
Okay.
Yeah. And basically it was brought to light that when Jared, the one of the main guys, he was accused of SA by his family member, and now he's been brought into court.
Oh,
Yeah, Freebird, it was a bad situation, and really, really sad too. Sorry guys. Really, really sad because yeah, they're divers, and they'll go in, and they would help missing people, like people would call them, their family members, and be like, hey, this is where my family member went missing, can you go look? And they would, and they found, quite a bit of people. But
so you got Diesel's brothers do that too. Those Diesel brothers that show Diesel, but now they do that kind of stuff where they go find cars and stuff in the water.
yeah, and the good thing is the other two guys, gosh, the one guy's got a really long beard. I'm trying to remember what his name is.
He
But
is
the
one of
other
the
two
Diesel
guys are real
brothers, isn't
sweet.
he?
They're family. Sorry, they're
He
family
is one of the
guys.
Diesel brothers, I think. No, he's the one that the Diesel brothers sponsor him too, right? He's a diver that goes in. Yeah, didn't he find recently that Toyota 4Runner that man had been missing at the boat ramp, and they found him further down where he looked like he was four-wheel driving, and it was like a 20-year-old case. I think they just posted that recently, like a month ago.
Oh, I'm trying to think.
And
I
the
don't know
Diesel
if I
brothers
know
came
that
out and
one.
helped them. They brought their boat and everything out, and one of the brothers from the Diesel brothers, because those were military guys, and they came out and helped, and they were able to find that vehicle, and they were able to get that closure for that family that they've been waiting 20 years for it.
Oh, that's fantastic. When that happens, yeah,
Yeah, that
that's
was it
wonderful.
was 20-year-old case, and they didn't know what happened to their son. They knew he had went down to the lake area to go play in his four-wheel drive, but they were looking in the wrong area. He had come up across a ridge, and evidently they think it's just his vehicle started rolling, and he just went in, and his vehicle wasn't 10 feet off the bank, but it was like really deep down. I think like 25 or 30 feet deep there. And so they took maps, and then they started, like, of course, sonar in that area. And he's like, hey, let's jump over here. And they jumped over to a different area right on the other side of the boat ramp. And sure enough, they found the car.
Oh, wow.
And you could
Okay.
tell
Oh
that it
my
rolled down the
goodness.
embankment because the doors were caved in and the front end was caved in. And it was the Toyota 4Runner, and the license plate matched. And that family had been looking for 20 years for their son.
Wow, that is a long time,
A
Oh, I'm so
long,
glad
long
they were
time.
able to
It's
get
like
him.
Natalie Holloway, right? Natalie Holloway. That case always touched my heart too. And
Oh, yes.
that woman, that mother, man, she fought, right?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, and that's who I watched. Freebird is Bishop, and Josh Cantu. I'm still subbed up to those guys because those guys are family, they're family men and good men, good men.
Yeah, that's one of those things, right? Hey, my other phone.
Yeah, I
Hey, I
mean,
got my other phone real quick.
well, and
Hey,
and the thing is that maybe he did something bad in his past, and he was trying to make up for it or do something good. But in the same way, he was never criminally charged, and now he had been. But yeah, it says, according to Wikipedia, thank you, Freebird, for posting that. Yeah, basically that was a 9-year-old that he had
wow. Hey, I'm gonna
raped.
go check my other phone real quick. It was ringing. All right, I'll be right back. Okay.
Okay, sounds
All right,
good.
be
Sounds
right
good.
back.
Yeah, they're new guys, the new guys now. Yeah, and I mean they're really good guys. As far as I know, or from what I've seen from them, which is good. I'm glad that they're still out there. Yeah, and it is really sad because, you know, I think that that family, if I'm not mistaken, because I did some research at the time that that came out, I think that was something that was very prevalent in that family, and that unfortunately it wasn't the cycle was never broken, for lack of a better way to say it. Um, I mean, I do too. I find it so fascinating. I mean, especially because how many people like go over those waterways and travel over, and say we go swimming in the lake, things like that. It's like, and the whole time there's somebody that's been in that water for 40 years. I mean, that is definitely amazing. And then when they're able to find them and their families can get the closure that they need, it's wonderful. Yeah, forensic genealogy is super interesting. It is so interesting. Yeah. um it's weird how they can go back and um even find like a great whatever, back in your family, and then find. And I think it's awesome too, like when people were even excuse me, either given up for adoption, or maybe they, for whatever reason, lost touch with one side of the family or another, and then you can go on, like the ancestry.com, and kind of find each other. I think that's really neat too. Yeah, they found, yeah, 20 to 40 years. That's so crazy. Oh, okay. That is really neat, Sandy. I didn't know that. That's so cool. Well, awesome. That is wonderful. Yeah, and I mean, um, it's very I mean, it's. I guess it would be really complex. I think it's complex. Maybe it's easy, but I think it's really interesting how they're able to
Okay, hold on.
dig up all that information.
Wait. Sorry, guys, I'm back.
Yay, Rich is back.
Yeah, I had to get Ruby. Hey, I got a question.
Oh, okay.
How long are you gonna be on?
Um, I mean, I'll be on for a little bit. Yeah, I'll be on for a little
I
bit.
need to run. I gotta take Ruby real quick and run. You know how my phone is. And
Yeah.
when I get over there, I'm gonna pop back in.
Okay, that sounds great.
We got to go to a little private area real quick to check on something. So they
Okay.
just called me. They actually called me twice. I didn't hear it ring the first time. So if you want, I'm gonna pop back. If y'all want, I'll pop back in.
Yeah, pop back in. I would
It'll
love
take
to
me
see.
probably
I
15,
want to
20
see
minutes to get
Ruby in
over there.
action.
Yeah, it won't take me long. 15, 20 minutes to get over there, and then I'll put Ruby on the camera or something.
Okay, awesome.
All
Wonderful.
right.
Yes, Minnie says be safe. Be safe.
Yeah, it's kind of that other same area, but they got some stuff. They got phone calls that something I guess is going to be dozed up tomorrow, and they want me to check it before they doze it. So
Oh, okay.
yeah, we'll go over there and check it out. She's ready to go. So give me a little
She
bit to
knows
load
it's
her and get
time,
her over
huh?
there, and then I'll pop back in when I get over there, guys.
All right, fantastic. Fantastic.
Yeah, so you're gonna have to you just hold it down for a little bit. I'll be back.
Okay, I will.
All right, so
I'll
I
do my
just pop back
best.
in, right? I can just leave the app up, right, and just pop back in.
Yeah, all you have to do is just grab that link again from the one I texted over. Yeah.
The one I already have. Okay, well I'll just pull it back and then I'll text you when I'm about to do it. That way you'll know to be looking.
Okay, cool. Yeah, because
Yeah,
I
we'll be
will get to
safe, guys.
talking and then
Thank
I'll go,
y'all.
oh, there's a guest in here
All right, well
waiting.
we'll get back and we'll get with y'all here in a little bit.
Okay, sounds great.
All right, we'll
Sounds
talk to
great.
y'all soon. All right, guys. All right, bye.
All right, be safe, Rich. Be
Bye bye.
safe. Uh, Ruby, she's so cute. She's ready. She's ready to go. She's definitely ready to go. So, and let's see here, guys. Give me a second here. And I think we might be able to play. Oh, if I'm not mistaken here. So I know we talked about Mr. Penny, but I also had something I wanted to play tonight about Sebastian Rogers' case. And Sandy says, I'm trying to figure out what's in the background. Looks like a birthday party. Oh, okay. So what I did was I have Sebastian's flyer, but I just kind of did like a little Christmas theme. Um, put some little bulbs up. And then I had a sore throat because I've been talking too much. But I have a little chamomile tea here because I know that um, Sebastian liked the chamomile tea too to kind of wind down at the end of the night. I found something today on. Yeah, I should probably get some like green balloons or something like that. Oh, Rich's background. Yeah, Rich. So, when I did my first when we did our first live, I deleted it because we were having like so many difficulties with it. But he did balloons and stuff, and then did the happy birthday banner. And I think he might be keeping that up. I could be wrong, but I think because Sebastian's birthday is December 7th, which is Saturday. And so, and I think that, yes, put some sparklers in it. Yeah, he did. And so yeah, Sebastian's birthday is coming up, so I think he's just going to keep it rolling for that. But I found something really interesting today, and I know that there was some things about a letter that had come out in Sebastian Rogers' case, and the credit goes to Justin from Clutch Those Pearls, Remy Pearl, Adventures with Remy Pearl, and he also has Justin for All. So I know you guys are very familiar with him. And so he is going to be our narrator for just 5 minutes if I can find my history. Um, but I'm very excited to share this because of what I shared last night. Yes. Oh yes, so you guys know Justin. And it's gonna go well with what we were discussing. Now, let me just find it. Ah, there we go. There's my history. Um, and also it was a clip. It was a clip from Justin, but the credit also goes to hindsight 2002 or 2002. And
So I just got.
okay, so if you guys don't mind, just put a 1 in the chat if you can hear it. If you can hear it good.
An email from someone at the school, and I'm going to read it without exposing who it is. She didn't ask to keep quiet or anything like that, but I'm still going to do it. And it says, I work at Beach High School, and she says she was such and such Sebastian's teachers. Sebastian, the week of February 10th, AP, CP, and Seth were all at attendance. On the second day of Sebastian's disappearance, Tuesday, I got an earful about
I mean, that had to be pretty awkward, blaming the ex for every single problem, but yet he spends the majority of his time with you guys. Like,
Redacted said he felt utterly embarrassed for Seth. He said KP and CP treatment of Seth made everyone in the room uncomfortable. Additionally, the very first day of the disappearance, that Monday, 2/26/24, we had, let me, how I say this. I asked such and such at the school, quote, hey, have you found the boy yet? At this point, no one was really panicking. It was just a case of a autistic child who'd run off. This teacher responded to my question and said, quote, no, and something is up with that. They're telling us that he ran off without his shoes and without his phone. I'm telling you right now that I know there's no way he ran out of the house barefooted and without his phone. No way. He always had his belongings, his phone. Again, this was day one. There was no need to panic. But yet,
so that's so weird to me that they're saying that he would never not have his phone, yet Chris and Katie acted like it was no big deal that he didn't. He's not like a regular kid. He really doesn't care about his phone. I mean, they said a bunch of times that it was like no big deal for him not to keep his phone on him. And then also we know that Seth said that he did in fact keep his phone on him because he was supposed to keep his phone on him because Seth was working and Sebastian would stay at the house, by himself. And so he knew to keep his phone on him in case his parents needed to get a hold of him. So if his mom needed to get a hold of him or if his dad needed to get a hold of him. But then Chris and Katie turn around and say that it wasn't typical for him to keep his phone on him. And then here's the teachers saying that it was weird that he didn't have his phone.
such and such teacher had a gut feeling that something was off. Anyway, thought you would find this interesting. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate.
So that's the end of that video. It was just a kind of a little clip, a short that Hindsight 2002 posted from Justin's page or excuse me, channel. And I really have an issue with people who, I mean, let's face it, none of us are perfect. None of us are going to make the right decisions all the time. None of us are going to know everything. We're just human beings. We learn every day as we grow, as we age, as we experience things, as we learn new things. But my biggest problem with Katie and Chris is that it's never their fault. It's never them. It's always someone else, even if they have to blame poor Sebastian. And even if they have to blame Seth, who, I mean, let's be honest. It sounds like Sebastian was with him every other weekend after the divorce. It was more of an every other weekend type of a thing, and then whatever arrangements they had. And I think, according to them, sometimes Sebastian would be with either parent, either or, when they wanted to. So it was said in the beginning that it was okay if Sebastian wanted to go to his dad's. Anytime he wanted to go to his dad's, he can go there. But so maybe he was there a little bit more often, but I just find it so odd that you can blame the co-parent, for lack of a better word, who isn't around. I mean, who Sebastian spent the majority of the time, especially like making the school officials just, I don't know, it's just weird. They're making them uncomfortable. Um, Sandy says, I was watching a hate channel with the volume down today, reporting everyone for harassment. you know, yeah, I know. What and why didn't Seth try to call Sebastian's phone? I mean, that's a great question. And the it's unfortunate. I know. I try not to watch too much of those kinds of channels because I know they can be they can just be awful. Like they put me in a bad mood. And so I don't really like to, but I mean I do think that they need to be reported if they're doing things that are against like YouTube terms and services and things. And I know it's hard. I mean, there's a lot of them, but I mean we all know what to do and what not to do. And Minnie, yes. Oh, with the dogs, with the dogs. I bet CP and KP never called him to check on him like Seth did. Yeah, Tony, and that's the thing. I mean, I don't think so either. I think that because I know from what Seth said that Sebastian would be at home after he got off of school by himself for a little bit, even when, um, he was with Katie during the week and things like that. Um, he would come home, and that was another thing that was kind of shocking. Like nobody told us that he was that high functioning to where he could absolutely take care of himself because as we were talking about last night, autism is a spectrum disorder, or for lack of a better way to say it. And so there can be very many different you know different things that are going on with these kiddos, and certain things and life skills. It'll take them a little bit longer to get the hang of it, and different things like that. And so they need to patience and to be worked with on certain things. But um yeah, I just find that to be so odd because when I heard that for the first time, I'm like, well, if he was a latchkey kid and he was coming home and he was okay to like get himself a snack and chill out on the couch, and it's not like he ever hurt himself or anything like that. So it just kind of like it blew my mind a little bit. I'm like, okay. And then to hear that when he was at Seth's house and Seth had to work overnights, then he was there all night by himself. And I was like, well, that's wonderful. Then he was able to take care of himself in that capacity. And some children that have special needs, they can't do that for themselves. And so um, Sandy says one thing that came from the email is CP was in town on February 10th for the parent teacher conference. CP always said, oh, yeah, he said that early February. And see, I was watching another creator, and when she asked him, it was in the Terry Lynn video, she kept asking him, yeah, it wasn't, no, it was Terry Lynn, that's fine. Okay, so she was asking him, what does early February mean to you? So when you say that you haven't been home since early February, what does that mean? And he would not give her a straight answer. Same thing with Nancy Grace. When he went on to Nancy Grace after he was on with Terry Lynn, he said that law enforcement would not allow him to give those specific dates out. So he wasn't allowed to tell anyone when the last time he was home was. So I mean, I always thought that there was a good reason why he did that. So that's really interesting. So if he left for his job in Memphis, let's see, February, let me pull up excuse me, a calendar here. Do, 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 do. Let's see. Okay, so we got all the way back. Gosh, it's been too long. All right. So I was thinking he left around like February 2nd to the 5th, but if you look at February, Thursday, February 1st, and then you got Friday. So if you're leaving for a job, wouldn't you leave on Sunday night? So maybe more like on the 4th. And then Saturday, February 10th is a Saturday. So I don't know if perhaps he came back into town for the weekend and then the parent teacher conference was on a Monday, or if they decided to meet them on a Saturday, maybe because that was easier because we know all of the parents, all three parents worked. I know that Seth's schedule was different, and then Katie, I think, worked during the day at Brinks, and we know we know that Chris used to work during the day too because he actually changed to overnights, and he said that he changed to overnights. So, that's interesting. That's really interesting. CP's story is not consistent in my opinion. Absolutely. I don't listen. I'm only there to report. That's so funny. I know. Well, because I mean, it's when I was picking apart interviews and stuff like that. Ooh, I was like, I had to keep on listening and listening and doing the editing, and I was like, I'm just getting in a bad mood from listening to the negativity. Freebird said I was I was talking to my son today and yesterday about putting some autism videos out with him. Oh, that's wonderful to bring awareness. He's warming up to the idea. Not every kid is the same, but it might help us understand. So there is a really great channel out there, and I put some clips in my videos because there were some kiddos that were Sebastian's age, and I wanted to show kids who have autism and bring awareness that way too, and just show how different they can be, and then how the same they can be, and what some of the things that they deal with, and how their parents will help them to cope and get them ready for things in life. And it's called Special Books by Special Kids, and the guy's name is Chris, and his girlfriend. They both it's their channel together. They're wonderful people, but what they do is they go around. Chris used to be a teacher, a special ed teacher, but he decided that he wanted to interview families from all over, and so he interviews all types of different people from all over the place, and it's a really great channel. And it just goes to show, like, the biggest thing that I took away from the channel at first was like when Chris would ask the kids, what is the biggest thing that you want people to know? Or he would ask the parents if the child was nonverbal, what do you think the best thing for people to know is when they see you guys coming? And all of them said, just say hello. That's all you have to do. Just say hi, acknowledge us, and that's the thing. You don't have to look away and that was one thing that I really took away from, and that was in the earlier interviews, but that's one of my favorite channels. They're just wonderful, wonderful, wonderful people. And in the beginning, they were having some issues because YouTube was like, wouldn't let them, because their videos feature kids in them. And so it was kind of a sticky situation. But I think they got it all taken care of. And one of the interviews that I included in my videos was of a young man who was a self-declared Aspie. So like Asperger's is very high functioning on the spectrum. I don't think that they still use Aspie anymore. However, this kiddo reminded me a lot of Sebastian. Super high functioning, super smart, very funny, loved gaming. And he has his own YouTube channel, which has like, I mean, thousands and thousands of subscribers. And then of course he just sits on there and games, and he's very charismatic kid. But if you guys check it out, it's the first 7 days video that I have in my library. And yeah, it's just it's cool because you get to see how these kids feel about stuff, and then their parents too, and how their parents because one big misconception when everything came out with the Sebastian Rogers case was the medication, right? Why is he on the medication? Does he need it? And like even Eric Craddock communicated to the public. He said that he needed that for his autism. Well, autism isn't, there is no medication for autism. Autism is helped through therapies. So therapy is the best way to help with autism. There's no like pill for autism, in other words. So yeah, and Freebird, that is so awesome. Whenever you guys do that, I'm gonna subscribe. So make sure you let me know, and I can't wait. I think that awareness is super important. Just like Julie Slonik, she is very, very smart. She's a newer creator, and actually, Hey Jude turned me on to her, and then also Smiley, because she's also in Smiley's. But she has a child with autism as well. And, the more awareness that we can bring to, um, to people with different abilities, the more we're going to understand, and the more that we'll realize that they're more like everybody else than we ever thought, and, so I think that's really, really cool. In my opinion, CPS kicked him out of the house, so he had to stay in the RV. But he kept coming back. I mean, that is something that a lot of people think too. Yeah, that they told him like, you need to leave for a while because, and I can see why now. Like at first I was like, well, maybe they didn't tell him that. But like if it was 5 reports, let's do that. 5 in um 2 years, they very well might have said, "Hey, this isn't working out. We're either going to take we're either going to take Sebastian out of the house, or you get out of the house." You go, And so he decided to go take a job out of town, because I feel like he could get a job closer to home if he wanted to. I mean, I don't understand why they were living those separate lifestyles like that. That typically doesn't work. I mean, and maybe with them being in the military, they might be used to that sort of thing. So I could be wrong, but it's definitely better to have the same schedule as your spouse, so that way you all have time to spend together. So yeah, I can totally see that, Sandy. Yeah, it is poop. And oh wow, that's interesting theory. Yeah, Sandy, it is very interesting. Yeah, I think I would think somebody would give CP some anger management classes, or at least oops, sorry, they would at least recommend that, because a lot of times whenever CPS gets involved, they do evaluate the family, and then whatever needs to change within the family, they they recommend that. They recommend it so that way it can be the best environment for the kids or the kid. And Tony says, "Did anyone watch the show with Down syndrome and trying to learn on their own and one couple got married? I love that show. Did they not renew it?" Oh, I don't remember that show, Tony. You know what I thought was an awesome show? It was called it's called Atypical, and it's on Netflix. And I don't know if they came up with another season, but it was about a teenager with autism and just how he was navigating through life and like coming of age and things like that. And he had like friends and a job, and then he had a girlfriend, and he had an older sister, and it is like, it's such a cute show. It's under like drama, but it's funny. Like there's very funny moments in it. And the kid's name is Sam, and he loves penguins. It's so cute. Like, and it's called Atypical. Atypical. So definitely check that out. And I'll have to check that one out. I took a photo of Justin's calendar, the parent teacher conference. Okay, February 7th. So February 7th was a Wednesday. Oh my gosh. So it was in the middle of the week. All right. I am gonna, that is weird. Oh, okay. Well, that would mean that, ooh, that would mean that CP was most likely in town a couple times that February. Because, like I said, if February 1st, I don't see him leaving to go to the job on Thursday, but he could have. He could have left on Wednesday night, went to work Thursday the 1st, Friday the 2nd, Saturday they're off, Sunday they're off, Monday again, and then Tuesday, and then he drove back on Wednesday for the parent-teacher conference, perhaps. I'm not sure. So, yeah, that is very interesting. Wow, Sandy. Okay. All right. Let's just post that one up there. I love this show. Love on the Spectrum. Oh, I know. That is so cute. Oh my gosh. I have watched that as well. Special books by special kids. They have done some interviews with people who have gotten married, and like there was a couple and they had Down syndrome, and so he went ahead and interviewed them about their life and how it is for them. And it was so cute. They gave each other a little kiss and everything. It just warmed my heart so much. But yeah, and then also when I was working for Lincoln Way Special Rec years ago, we had a couple that had gotten married, and I knew them. We had a stores called Dominic's up in Illinois, and all of the baggers that worked in that store, they were all people with special needs. So like I knew all of the baggers because of course I had worked with Lincoln Way Special Rec. And I remember one day one of the gals came up to me and she was telling me that they were going to get married, and I was so excited for her. And and her folks were a little bit nervous, obviously, but it all ended up working out for them, and I was just so happy. Yeah, Love on the Spectrum is so cute. Dear God, I talk too much. So do I. The best video ever about autism is the kid in the mall. I sent it to you. Oh, cool. Thank you, Freebird. I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to do clips because I would totally play it. I need to get on the ball with that. I need to see if I could just get like a cheap little laptop. That way it'd be like that way I can, because I know it's a totally different interface and it allows us to do a lot more with that. No, I know. I love it though, guys. I love talkers. And give me 1 second. It seems like Rich got to his destination, but I think he might have to wait it out. Okay, I'll just say, just let me know. Okay, great. And let's see the video I sent, educational. Oh, great. Maybe I can go ahead and Atypical, yeah. Yeah, you should watch it. It's so cute, Freebird. It is so cute. We'll be checking it out. Justin's calendar also said Monday 2/5 phones off. Tuesday 2/6 new job. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. So 2/6 was see, and that's what I was thinking too, because I was like, I heard the 5th. I heard the 5th for his new job, and that would have been a Monday. So I don't think he would have left on yeah, he probably left Sunday, February 4th, if I could take a wild guess. Phones off Tuesday, 2/6, new job, and then a Wednesday. Oh my goodness. Teacher conference. Yeah, and based on what we've seen from CP, it doesn't take much to set him off. And so I'm sure he was pretty peeved off that he had to be um, coming in during the middle of the week um, or that maybe he had to postpone going to the job even. I just can see him being really mad. You know what I mean? Just, he's always mad. So, I mean, I wouldn't put it past him. He was not a happy camper. Yeah, Minnie. And then, yes, you need to play the clips. I know. I want to play the clips so bad. You guys have no idea, because I would love to make like shorts, you know what I mean? Or just like kind of like what I do with the editing, and then we can like watch them together. I think that would be fun. Um, oh, Monday. Okay, Monday 2/5, the phones were off. The phones were off. Oh my gosh. Why did he even need to be there? Because he's a control freak and can't stand for key. Yeah, exactly, exactly. Well, that's the thing. What I mean, I couldn't agree more. He needs to sit down and take a seat. He doesn't have to be the one to control everything. He doesn't need to be the one that intervenes or anything like that. He should let Katie co-parent with Seth in a certain capacity. I mean, I don't understand what would be the harm in that. I think that I think it would be really, it would cause more good than harm, I guess is the best way I can put it. Because, it would, I just don't know. I don't know. To me, I would have snapped on him. I would have been like, you know what? This is not your kid. You are not I don't have to co-parent with you. You and Katie, you do your thing, but when it comes to our child, it's between me. But then again, at that point in time, Chris had been in Sebastian's life for what, 6 or 7 years. So I mean, maybe they had gotten to that point where Seth felt like, obviously Chris is not going anywhere. And maybe that's it. But, I don't know. It would really, really bother me. And I wouldn't want to put up with that. I did have to put up with a crazy person as a step parent. But, um, you know, I definitely wasn't as nice as Seth ever. I just wasn't, I didn't appreciate some of the things that she had done. She had posed as my daughter's mother before, stuff like that. So I was PO'd, and I didn't put up with it. I told her right off she's not to do that ever again. Because my daughter's band teacher told her that her mom said that she couldn't ride the bus or something. It was something to that effect. And my daughter called me and she's like, you didn't, and I'm like, no, I never said that. And then turns out it was my ex-husband's new wife that pretended like she was my daughter's mother. And, my daughter looks just like me. So it was kind of weird. And she also did that like on a Facebook post one time. And oddly enough, like one of her friends called her out and was like, "Who's that one kid?" Because obviously she didn't look like her. So it was quite awkward. So I've dealt with like that crazy stuff, so I kind of know how Seth feels, but he's just very much more reserved. And um God love him for it, because it's hard. I mean, I'm not saying I handled it in the best way, but I think that a lot of times, you know, we handle it in the best way that we know how, and so, um, but I do give him credit for that, because that's tough, especially when you're sitting in a parent teacher conference and you're getting blamed for everything. I mean, oh my God, talk about embarrassing, mortifying. Like, I mean, I would want to just sink down in my seat if they were doing that to me. Like, it's like they're smearing him in front of him. Like, that's got to be awkward for the teachers. And the thing is when people do that, they don't realize how they're looking to other people around them. Like, they think that they're the ones looking good, but they're the ones that are looking like jerks. Yes, the autism video shows autism from the autistic child. Oh, point of view. That's wonderful. It was put out there by the National Autism Society. And I believe that there are, based in the UK. Oh, that's wonderful. See, that's so great. That is so great. I don't know how Seth does it either, especially at this point. Like, when things get so bad, I don't understand. I really don't. Seth has nerves of steel. Yes, he does. Yes, he does. I wonder if Sebastian was present during the IEP meetings. You know, I hope not. I hope that he, if they did bring him in, I would hope that they would at least, you know what? I would hope that they would have pulled him in aside and said, "Hey, Sebastian, tell me what's going on. Is there anything that you'd like to talk about?" I think that would have went a long way. I think Sebastian knew how to advocate for himself. I really do. I feel like he knew how to, I think he knew how to say what he wanted to say. I think that he was silenced, and I think that he was made to seem like he didn't know what he was talking about, and, oh, he's just a child, as Chris would say. But even if you're just a child, that doesn't mean that you don't have a point of view or opinion, you know? I mean, it's crazy. My husband and I try to get our son involved in oh, okay, yeah. To learn, yeah, he's his own exactly. And see, that's the thing. Sometimes kids don't think that they have a voice. And I think like when a lot of us were growing up, it was like children should be seen and not heard. I don't believe that that should be like that, because then children don't think that they can stand up for themselves. And I do think that we should respect our elders. I mean, I do. If I see an elderly person or they're telling me something, I do listen to them, and I am respectful to them, and I think that's important. But I also know that we were taught, when a lot of times we were taught when we were kids, that like you do exactly what an adult tells you to do. And I think that that's caused like years and years of trauma for people, because you get in that mindset where you're like, oh, I have to talk, I have to do exactly what this adult says, even if the adult tells you to do something that is not good for you. And like in this situation with Mr. Proudfoot, he was telling Sebastian to do some pretty, he was misleading him and misguiding him, and in my opinion, he was doing it on purpose so then he can turn around and be like, he's doing wrong, and point the finger at him. And that's just, my opinion. Um, oh, good. Yes. Oh, that's wonderful. Speech therapy. Yeah. And see, that's the thing. Yeah. Freebird say like, so like, these therapies that in the one video, um, the young man who had Asperger's, he would have trouble looking people in the eye. and having a conversation like face to face. So like if somebody's sitting right here and I'm sitting right here, I'm going to try to look, and it's hard for me to look in because I try to look at the camera, but it's kind of odd. But so, you know, that's one thing because it's awkward for some children on the spectrum to look somebody face to face and to make eye contact. And so he was really working on that. And so his old teacher, Mr. Chris, was, standing by him, and he's like, "Tell me about this." He's like, "Am I bothering you by looking at you right in the eyes?" And he's like, "No, I'm actually used to that because I've done therapy. And so that's really, really good for them to be in different kinds of therapies to help with this, with the symptoms and things that come with being on the spectrum. Yeah, well, if something was to happen to my son, he needs to learn it. Yes, his own voice. Yes. And, unfortunately, as much as we want to be with our kids all the time, sometimes we're not always with them. And then, especially if we're divorced, and then we have no control over who they're around. We don't. We have zero control of who our children are around if we're divorced. We can't help it. It's whoever the other person chooses. And if they don't choose a good person, then we're pretty much SOL. And so are our kids at that point. Wow, Freebird. I have so much respect. I know, that's what I said. I know. I'm just so glad because that's the thing, like I worked with with the children and the people that I worked with. The families really cared about them a lot. They wanted them to be social. They wanted them to be around other people that they could relate to, that they could make friends with, that they could find common interests in. And the only way that you can do that is to get involved. And that's anybody. That's any of us. If I was just to sit inside all the time and never like go out and do anything, then I would never be involved in anything. So, which is kind of what I do as an older person. But like when I was younger, I was involved in all kinds of stuff. I was a Girl Scout. I did volleyball. I did cheerleading. I did, all kinds of stuff. And so, swimming. And so, that's anybody. We all need to get out and meet people. Otherwise we'll be, you know, yep. Yeah, it is. And it brings up emotions they cannot process. Yes. And it can really bother them. Yes. Well, nice to see you all. Things serious. Thanks so much for coming in. Yeah. Oh, recital. Oh, cool. Oh, sign. Oh, that is so cool. Oh, that is wonderful. I know. And you know what? I'll tell you, I do have stage fright as well. I mean, I get nervous. I'm just now getting used to it now that I'm up here, talking with all of you guys. But when I first thought I was going to have to get up here and speak, I was like, "Oh boy, am I going to do a good job?" Or, you know, um there's all kinds of things that can be, and especially a room full of people. It's very overwhelming. And so I think that's wonderful that he's willing to overcome that. That's fantastic. That is fantastic. Yeah. Yeah, it helps him to be outgoing. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And yeah, if you never try, then you'll never know, you know? And it's just little steps too. Close his eyes. Yeah, that's good though. And you know what? Maybe even just like taking that time to close your eyes for a second and then, okay. You know what I mean? Like it could make a difference. It can change your mindset for a minute. But it is like, and some people are just hams, they love being in front of people and they just absolutely love it. But then other people are like, well, I'm a little bit more shy and reserved. Um, like when my daughter was little, she was very shy. I mean, like, you know, she was very, very shy until she'd get to know you. And then she'd be talking, talking, talking away. But, and I always kind of thought that was a good thing because, you don't want people, kiddos talking. I have one friend and her little daughter was so funny. She would tell you everything. She'd be like, "My name is da da da, and I live at 123 Main Street." And then her mom would be like, "Don't tell everybody where you live." And like, she was just so outgoing and bubbly. She was just a little ham. She was so funny. Um, oh, Michael Bublé, White Christmas. Oh, I love Bublé too. Oh, that's so wonderful. So he can sing? That's great. That is great. Aw, that's so cute. No, that is so cute. Yeah, that's cool. And so, I mean, and it's about finding what they like, right? Because if you expect them to get up and do something they don't like, then they're not going to want to do it. But if you say, okay, well, let's try this or let's do this, and I think that was one thing that so much. I know I mentioned this before, but it was like it bothered me so much that Sebastian never had any like toys outside or like things to do. I mean, um, how come they didn't put like maybe a pool in the backyard? Their backyard looked big enough for like a small pool or something. Um, I don't know. It just to me it's I don't know. It just seemed like he didn't have a very good time at all at home, and I hate that for him because I feel like I just feel like if they would have let him get out more, he would have met a lot more people, and he would have felt a lot more. He would have felt a lot more comfortable around other people had he met more people. All right, let's check. I'm just gonna check on Rich here. I know he's. Oh, look at me go here. I don't know why it just kicks me off the internet randomly here. Here we go. Let's see. But at any rate, give me one moment here. Let me see if I can. Oh, okay. So wherever. Okay, guys. Sorry about that. Okay. I just saw the text message from Rich, and he said that he is in the presence of some other um, canine handlers, and so he was going to check with them and see how they felt about searching, or excuse me, I'm going live, but I haven't heard back, so I'm guessing probably no, but it's possible. And no worries, Sandy. Like I said, we're always happy to have you. So whatever if you guys gotta pop in and out, that's totally fine. Yeah, and a therapist who specializes in autism told me that the more you expose them, the more they will grow. Yeah, Seth did take him fishing. No, and I agree with that too. And it's just like anything, it's like, and you don't know if you're going to like something until you try it. If you never get a chance to try it, then how are you going to know? One thing that I did, that I did believe Katie, or that did make some sense to me with Kate when Katie was talking about how she didn't they didn't really bring Sebastian around a lot of kids. Like when they get together, Sebastian might want to only talk about Minecraft, and then maybe his playmate would only want to talk about, say, he liked like Marvel comic books or something like that, just as an example. And then they would clash because one would want to talk about Marvel all the time, the other one would want to talk about Minecraft, and so it would be kind of like a battle between what are we going to do, what are we going to talk about, and blah blah blah. So I could understand that because sometimes when you have individuals who are on the spectrum, they do get super excited or hyper focused on a subject or what they like. They just want to share it with you, and they just want you to be as excited as they are about it. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. They always made it seem like to me, and maybe I'm wrong, but they always made it seem like to me that it was just one of those things that was like they were annoyed with him, or like, oh well, if they had to lift a finger to do any little extra for him, it just, as a mom, I don't understand why Katie wasn't used to that. Exposing them to things, swimming, kayaking, boating, volleyball. Yes, because you never know. Maybe you're gonna take them camping and they're gonna be like, I don't want to sleep outside. I thought I did. Maybe they, and sometimes I get excited about certain things and I'm like, oh, this is gonna be great. Or, a movie comes out and I'm like, I can't wait to see it. And then I see it, I'm like, oh well, I wish I didn't spend $20 there, or whatever. But you know, I mean, you just never know until you try it, and getting more experience. Yeah, I feel like that too, Freebird. I feel like they were embarrassed, and I feel like it he just never could like meet their expectations. I guess if I'm, for lack of a better way to say that, like they were never going to be pleased no matter what no matter what he did. And to me, that just breaks my heart, because I don't think it's fair that he had to put up with any of that. I think that they should have treated him like the gift that he is, and that's all little children. That's all kids. And another thing too is, I guess I don't understand why Katie didn't have that motherly instinct to want to protect and nurture her child. And I just don't see her doing it. I just didn't see her doing that. And like I said, I mean, obviously I wasn't there. Obviously I didn't spend a lot of time, but it's just any of the things that she has said has led me to believe that he was more of a burden. And when Smiley asked Chris and Katie, was Sebastian ever a burden on you? And nobody answered for a second. It was crickets. And then um, it was Chris who said no first, and then Katie said no. So, I mean, it should have been immediate. The media immediately, none of our kids are a burden on us. I mean, geez, Louise, we're supposed to be there to care for them and take care of them. I mean, and love them. Yeah, there are groups Freebird says there are groups in my area where we have circle time with autistic kids and help them interact with each other. My husband and I were thinking, oh, that's so wonderful, of D&D games for autistic kids. That is so fun. See, and that's the thing, like, um, that it's difficult for them to do that. But then once they do it, it's like they've mastered it. They feel better about it and stuff like that. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. That's what we want to do, and that's what parents should want to do, is like help with anything they can. If your child is struggling with something, don't let them struggle with it. Help them figure it out. I mean, that's what you're there to do. You're supposed to do that. And I definitely see that in Seth. Like, I can see him helping Sebastian out. Now when it comes to the other parents, I don't see that. It seemed like they would try to frustrate him, and then, well, oh, you're frustrated, well, go to your room, you're in trouble, or and the thing is too, is like, I don't even know what they grounded the kid from, because what did he have? What did he have? Didn't seem like he had very much. Otherwise they will avoid the situations, and never encounter them. Oh, all right. Okay. Hey guys, just give me like 2 seconds if you want to just kind of talk amongst yourselves in the chat. Give me one moment, because I think we might have Rich back. He's going to get them up in the air and then he's going to pop back in with us. So we'll be able to look at some drone footage with Rich. So, and Tony says, not to change the subject, but bought my 8-year-old twins these bears to help with anxiety, ADHD, and it's calming. Hope it helps. Oh, cool. That is so cool. All right. Yeah, I hope it helps them too. You'll have to let us know how it goes with that. I've not heard of that before. But yeah, that is really neat. Yeah. And they're little bears. And does it help them like does it help them when you snuggle with them? Or does it like do they make calming sounds or like what exactly do they do there? That's what I'm curious about because I know that is really neat because I know sometimes like it's a sensory thing. Sometimes kiddos like to kind of like cuddle those bears or maybe they might want to like maybe their fur has like a calming effect. So I don't know. That's really interesting. I'd love to learn more about that. And Freebird says, that's why I wonder if Sebastian didn't tell Seth about what was happening because he was avoiding the feelings that come up or he didn't want to make more waves in an already chaotic situation. Yes, Freebird. And I agree with that. Another thing too that came out from Grandma Robin was that Sebastian was telling her some things that were going on the in his household, but but he wouldn't tell Seth because he didn't want Seth to you know get mad at Chris and Katie. And I know that kids really internalize things. So like if their parents are not in a good situation or their parents are arguing back and forth, then they're going to you know be in that situation where they're going to blame themselves, unfortunately, instead because they're little kids. They're going to internalize that stuff. And even at Sebastian's age, if there's things going on at home, there they may internalize that and instead of being able to say, well, that's my parents' stuff, they're let them deal with it. That's not my fault. They do blame themselves, and that's the most sad thing ever, really. Oh, cool, Tony. So, okay, they sleep with them. Oh, sounds heartbeat. Oh, the cuddles. Oh, that's cool. Okay, so heartbeat sounds and oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. Yeah, and that's one thing that's really neat, and that they make things like that because that way, when the little babies need soothing and things like that, it helps a lot. It helps a lot, especially if you're having trouble sleeping. I think those little gadgets that can help with sleep are pretty amazing. But yeah, I mean, I found that what the teacher said to Justin was pretty. I mean, I'm glad that people are starting to come out more, and I wonder if it's a situation where they're coming out because of these 5 CPS reports. And maybe some of the teachers knew how bad it was, and maybe some of the teachers didn't. And maybe when they heard that, they decided, you know what, enough is enough. And I think that we might see some more and more of that happening because people, I mean, it's going to be a year now. We're getting close. And we also have Sebastian's birthday, the holidays. So lots of reasons to find this young man they're oh, and then Tony says, I just ordered them today from Santa. She will hate them, but my son has them every week. Just to encourage them. Aw, she's a piece of work. Oh no, Tony, I totally understand. Oh my goodness. I hope it works well. I know that some parents, like, I know, see, like, I never worried. Like, the only thing that I ever had a trouble with was like the Furbies, when those things, and it was just because, like, one time I could swear I turned that thing off, and then all of a sudden I heard it, and it like freaked me out really, really bad. So, um, but I know a lot of times, like, parents don't like, they'll be like, if you get me like a loud toy for my kid, I'm gonna take it back to the store and whatnot. So, I bet you they're gonna love them. I bet you they're gonna love them. Yeah, me too. Me too. It's hard because it's like, I don't know. I don't know. That's just a tough situation. I know exactly how that feels though. And I think that's why I was really drawn to this case too, especially when, like, Seth would talk about what they were going through. And oh, okay, in Iowa, cool. And they're in Arizona. Aw. It's really hot, hot, dry heat in Arizona, isn't it? I have never been to Arizona. Um, I have family in Albuquerque, New Mexico, so I've been out that way. So I'm, familiar with like the tumbleweeds in the desert and stuff. Oh, okay, Freebird. So your son loves the compression vests? Yeah. Yeah, because they like that, like, some of the kiddos like that. Oh, how do I put it? You're probably gonna pop it in there before I can say it. But, like, they like to feel like they're, like, kind of, like a light hug, but not, like a little bit of, they have the weighted blankets, too, I've heard of. And, yeah, like a hug. Exactly. Thank you. Weighted. Yes. Thank you, Minnie. I was like, what am I trying to say here? But yeah, that's what's wonderful about that, because, that way they can do the self-soothing a little bit too. And it helps them feel more like they can do something about, how they're feeling. And they know what they can do at that time to make themselves feel better. And that helps out anybody, you know what I mean? Like, if there's something out there that helps me relax, I am all for it. I'm like, please, because I have anxiety. And so, when my anxiety gets really bad, like, if they had something like that would make me feel less anxious, I would definitely try it. Um, because yeah, it's very important to be able to do stuff like that. And I think it's awesome now that people are recognizing the need for that, even when it comes to mental health. Anxiety, depression, or just any of that stuff. Postpartum, is another one, because that way we can find other ways to cope with it other than rugs, alcohol, or whatever else, food, smoking cigarettes, which is one of my vices that I would like to stop. Um, but because they say when you smoke cigarettes, it makes you more anxious. They said even though you don't, you think it calms you down, it actually makes you more anxious, because if you're in a situation where you can't smoke, so, but Tony says, I would love to move there. I told my husband if he keels over, I'm about, aw. Yeah, and it's like, I understand that completely, because my daughter, like, I moved out of state because she's in college, and so, we don't live close anymore. And, like, it was funny because she would be like crying and stuff, I would be crying before I left. I'd be like, I'm gonna miss you so much, and she's like, oh, come on. And, because she's in her 20s, like, she's already finished the 4 years, and then now she's still doing more. um but okay, Rich is back. He's like, let me in. Yeah, guys.
You
Let's see
hear
what
me?
Rich is doing. Hi.
Hey, sorry, they didn't want no cameras over here.
No, I was wondering what they would
That's
say
why I
about
was
it. I'm
sending you
just rambling
photos,
on.
and I put the drones up for them, and because those are like low flying. I'll show them one day on your chat how they work. We'll do it one day to show them because you can put both of them up at the same time, and put
Oh,
one going one
cool.
way, one going the other, and then they fly literally like 8 or 10 feet off the ground. So if it's windy, you can use them, and then they take all the and store it into like a little Sims card, and then I just plug it into iPad and download it all.
Oh, okay. That is so
So
cool. Oh
it's
my
good for
gosh.
areas yeah, you were talking about the Harmony Montgomery area, right? It's like an 8 mile area.
Uh-huh.
We could do that literally in 3 hours with 2 drones.
Really? That's it? 3
Mm-hmm.
hours?
Mm-hmm. Because they fly like
Wow. How
20,
cool is that?
about 23 miles an hour. So, and you
Oh my
have one
gosh. I
going
would
one
love I
way.
would love to be able to help that little one. Oh my gosh. Oh
I
my
know,
gosh.
right? That's the good thing about it is that you can utilize it. Not saying that we'll find anything with it, but we can at least cover that area, and then go back and watch it slow, right? I mean, you don't have to watch it
Mini.
in full speed, but you can watch it in slow. Slow it down and stop it if you need to, whatever. Because they do those small ones. They have like 2 red cameras and then 2 white cameras, so you can use red cameras if you want to do like pick up like your like animal activity, or say you're looking for a child in the brush right at night. It'll pick up all
Yeah.
their body heat, everything like that, so you can know, okay. And then when they see something, it'll mark it, and it'll
Oh, how
send it to
cool
my
is
phone.
that? That is
Yeah,
neat.
send it
And
to my phone, and
it saves that information in the drone?
it sends it straight to my phone like a text message and says area of
Whoa,
interest,
cool.
or something moving here, or yeah, it's
Oh,
pretty neat,
okay.
and I've had them for a long time because, like I said, I've been doing this like 8+ years, but I just never had a channel. So I've invested in a
Yeah.
lot of
Oh,
this
that
stuff
is
over
really cool.
time.
I think drones are such great technology. Like, I think that's neat how you can, fly them over and then just kind of, check everything
Especially
out
those
from
little
there.
ones, like those little ones, you can't see them. You saw how small that. I mean, they're really really small. They're like literally a fit in the palm of your hand,
Wow.
and
That's
you
crazy to
just
think that there's drones flying all over and we don't see them.
exactly. You know how like you watch some of these news shows and they'll have like 8 or 10 drones up at one time and they make like a pattern, they fly together. That's what these small ones do. So you can
Wow.
send them together, and you can put them 30 feet apart, and they'll cover that area. You can put them 100 feet apart,
Mm-hmm.
and they'll scan wider. You can set it on how you want it, and if you're trying to find like if the ground's been broken, it'll check if the soil, if there's an area that like somebody had dug recently in, and up to 2 feet. It only goes 2 feet deep though. It will send a message back and say, it'll give you the coordinates of that area to go check. Like say the ground was disturbed, and a lot of times it might be a tree that blew over. You
Uh-huh.
know how it'll pick up the dirt, like it'll pull up dirt. That's usually most of the time that's what it is like if a tree had fallen over, the ground's disturbed. But sometimes you'll find if somebody dug something or buried something, you'll find it.
Wow. Wow.
Mhm. It's pretty neat, the technology that's out, right? And
Very much.
depends on what you want to, yeah, what you're looking for, right? Like I've always covered a lot of cold cases, so usually that stuff is not on the surface anymore, right? It's even if it's car keys, or it's down deep, 17, 20 inches deep, 30 inches deep. So you need something like that to utilize, especially for like metal things like that. It's almost like it'll pick that up, like almost like a metal detector would. So
Okay. Oh, Minnie says that she's not happy with the drones because the neighbors have one, and every summer they fly the drone over the backyard, aggravating the dogs. Oh no.
I don't
Oh
ever do it
no.
like that. Like I'm doing it
I'd be
usually in
mad
open
too.
areas.
Great job quitting smoking, free bird. I need to do the same thing.
Yeah,
And yes,
I
Tony, I
don't fly
know.
them like in town unless I'm like asked to do so, right? Like I don't just fly. I would never just fly them in a neighborhood without asking or getting permission.
Right. Well, and especially if you know you're aggravating those poor dogs, because I'm sure they can hear them, and then
Yeah, well,
like,
you can.
quit doing it
They're
over my
not
house.
quiet. They're pretty loud. It's like a little buzzing noise. I mean, you can, and if it's windy, it's even worse because their speed will change to try to balance the wind, right? So,
Oh, okay. I didn't know
hmm
that.
and like I can put them up, say I want to do 5 acres and I want to program them for those coordinates of those 5 acres. They might run 2 hours covering those if I want it to be slow, right? If I want to just do a quick pan, like if you're looking for a child, of course it's going to be quick, right? Right? You want to
Yeah.
cover as much ground as fast as you can, and if you're looking for something though, like it's different. You want to slow them down.
Yeah,
But yeah,
that's very interesting. Well, and dogs can hear so much better than us, so I'm sure even that small buzz they could hear it, even if it
oh
was like a
yeah, they
low
would be able. They
buzz.
would definitely, because those small ones are they're designed to fly low, like 30, 40, 50 feet, like in an area. And if you have trees, of course they will go up. If it's a tree, they'll go up. It'll let you know it had to go up, but they won't crash themselves. That's what's nice, is they won't actually like just fall, right? They'll actually come back to wherever they started from.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, they'll land on their own. It's crazy now how this technology has gotten really, really good.
Yeah.
And missing children's cases, a lot of, Texas, the people who use a lot of drones. If you remember Riley Strand, you remember how many drones were up in the air?
Oh my gosh, yes,
Remember
yes.
JLR was standing next to that man that was flying the drone, flying that river?
You know what's weird is I didn't listen to JLR back then.
Oh yeah, he was standing next to that guy that was flying. He was flying. He brought his own drone out and was he did it for like 8 miles down the river or something like that. And it flew all the way down and he was sitting there watching it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it does help. They do, because you can cover so much more area in such a faster time.
Yeah, that's so cool.
It's pretty neat. It's different, but it is neat. Like especially like if it's like an active, like a missing child or something that they're trying to find. It does help. So it can cover so much more in such a faster time, and it does help. Like at least they know. Okay, we don't have to search this area. You know, it does help the law enforcement a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really cool because like all of that technology really helps, I bet, to cover a big area that you wouldn't be able to typically be able to cover, and then also like the forests and stuff because that way you can fly that drone and you don't have to get into them deep
Yeah.
woods.
That's how I did it in Tennessee, right? I took an area that I wanted. That one area was like 41 acres, and I put my big drone up, and because the span is way wider, right? You can do like hundreds of feet wide, so you can fly. I flew that before we even kind of went in, anyway, just to kind of make sure that nothing and nobody was lurking around. Like I wanted it to be private. I didn't want a bunch of people to be in the area, so I flew that
Oh, yeah,
first.
that's a good idea.
And then that way I knew, okay, we can go in here and nobody's going to bug us.
Yeah.
And it does help. It can help, right? Sometimes it's
Oh,
just nothing there, right? And there's just nothing there. But it's not like it's a waste of time. It's at least, that area, there's nothing there.
right, right. Good
And
night,
there's drones.
Sandy. I'm so glad that you were in here. Your poor little kitty kitty. Give her a hug for us.
And the thing about like some of this stuff is like like when a child's first reported missing, whether sometimes it's only been like minutes or an hour. It can really, really make a difference depending on weather. If it's really freezing and it's really cold and it's a little child, of course you want them found as fast as possible. But
Yeah,
we'll do it one day. I'll
absolutely.
show
I
you
mean,
one day. One night we'll do it when we don't have wind, like, I can just go to an area that nobody's in, and I can get free range to. I'll just put it up, and I can put the thing on your live, and they can just watch it go and see everything that it sees. And like deer and rabbits and different animals and critters and skunks and possums, and you'll see all kinds of stuff.
oh my gosh, I bet. I
Yeah,
bet.
you'll see their body heat, right? You won't see them in person, but you'll see their body heat. But then to say that it picks up something that, if you're looking for someone and it picks up something that looks like a human, you can lower it down, turn the lights on, like the white lights on, and then you'll be able to see the camera will pick up what it is like it was daytime, which is nice.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It'll be fun. It's fun on a live to do. I've always that's what, of course, once I can go live, I'm going to be droning all the time because it is interesting to see, and you can cover and if you have all your eyes in your chat room, right, they're all watching, so you might miss something that they might
No,
see.
Bigfoot. Do you believe in Bigfoot? Have you seen Bigfoot out there, Rich, at all?
No Bigfoot. I've seen a lot of hogs, a lot of deer, right? A lot of deer and bear. I saw some
Yeah, a
bear when
lot
I
of
was in
deer, huh?
Tennessee. There's a lot of bears and black bears in Tennessee, and I did see quite a few. And of course,
You
thank
did see
goodness I
black
wasn't.
bears out there?
Oh
Wow.
yeah, a lot of black bears over there, kind of by the Dollywood area and the Appalachian Trail. A lot of
Oh,
black.
okay, yeah.
There's a lot of black bears there. A
Wow,
lot.
that is really cool.
It is, as long as you're not in the woods with them, right? That'd be the scary
As long
part.
as you got some bear spray.
Well, you never really. I carry a whistle thing around. It's like it's a bear whistle. Plus, it has a compass, flashlight. You can open it up. It has a little bit of fishing string, a couple of fishing hooks, and it's like a little survival whistle. Yeah,
Oh,
I take it
yeah.
every day. I always have it in my backpack everywhere I go. And you never know, right? I mean, sometimes you need that whistle.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
How's it been going
Well, it can be
tonight?
quite
Good.
scary out there.
I felt bad for having to leave, and then I felt bad because they were like, "No, we don't want you to do that." And I'm like, "No, it's fine. I understand. I mean, if they don't want cameras, they don't want cameras, right?"
Yeah, I mean,
But it would have
I
been
can
neat. It
understand.
would have been neat to show the drones like that on your live. It would have been cool.
I know that would have been so
But I'll
cool.
see, like, if there's nothing in the footage, then I can always send it to you and you can show it, right? It won't matter.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Because I have a
I
lot of
understand though,
drone
because if they
footage.
stumble upon something, then
Maybe the Tennessee one. Maybe I should send you that one from the Easy Days area.
oh, okay,
I
yeah.
have like 4 hours of drone footage from there.
Oh, wow.
It
It's
shows you
so
the
pretty
whole
there. I noticed
entire.
that when we drove through.
It shows you everything there, like the land next door that I searched, like the actual park itself. Like I flew the entire. It was like I think 7 miles one way and like 15 miles another way. It was a lot of drone and 4 hours of footage. It's a lot of footage.
Oh, yeah,
And
definitely.
and it'll mark anything that's like man-made, or even if it's like a solo cup, right? It will mark a solo. Like if it's something that's man-made, it'll mark it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. Like you can set it whatever you want it to do, and it'll do it. But pretty much, and it's bad because there was a lot of trash in Tennessee that I didn't notice. Like in those woods, there's a lot of like old burn barrels and like I don't know if people were setting up like camps there or hunting camps or something, and you'd find in one little area there might be 15 of those old timey burn barrels with little grills on top of them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it
I
could have
know
been
that
like a
Terry
little
Lynn
hunting.
found a lot of stuff like that too. Like,
Yeah, a
it would
lot of.
be
I
like
was
a
shocked how much
mattress out
trash.
there, and
There was a lot of trash. Watch that one video that I did right outside of Easy Days. There was so much debris. I found a bunch of burn barrels. I filmed all of it too. There was a bunch of like burn barrels and old like gallon jugs, and it was weird. There was a lot of stuff in there. Tires, a bunch of
wow.
old tires, and I don't know how it got all up in the woods like that, but it was back in there.
Yeah, I mean, you never know. Like, I was surprised how many people were down by that river, the
Huh.
Cumberland River.
A lot
You
of
know,
people. A lot of people.
yeah.
That one I went to, where that guy was crowing like a chicken or whatever he did. There was a lot of people there too, but most of them didn't even come up. Right, they just kind of left us alone. But a lot of people just kept to themselves, which was nice. And there was a lot of people out there searching. Actually, I was shocked at how many people were out there actually searching. Like they had their little
Yeah.
walking sticks and their backpacks, and you could tell they were searching. So it is
Oh,
a good thing. It is a good thing. Yeah.
that is great.
It is. It shows that at least people are doing it. Now they're doing it in private, which is cool, but they're doing it. I mean, I don't know if it's an everyday thing, but I know when I was there, I saw quite a few, probably at least 30 people.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Silver's on the scene. Silver's on the scene was there. He was down from me though. I didn't cross his path or anything, but I did see him. I saw Dolly Vision there. There was a lot of people there when I was there.
Yeah, that is so cool. That is so cool. I'm so glad to hear that because I love hearing that people are out there
Oh yeah, there
searching.
was more than what I thought would be. It's as much as the threats and stuff that are going on. There was way more than I thought would be out there. Now I didn't
Yeah.
see Terry Lynn. I don't know if maybe she's not searching right this moment, but I didn't see her during the Thanksgiving holiday at all.
Yeah, because she hurt her back.
Okay, that's why.
Yeah.
Because normally she's out there every day, I think.
Yeah, she thought it was her like her rotator cuff at first. Well, see, and I wanted to stop through and say hi to her myself.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, she is. Oh my goodness. And it just kills her. She's like you. She's the type of person that can't just sit down, she's always got to be doing something and
Yeah, that's
um
that's how I am. Like, so please call
yeah.
me every day, right? I beg for phone calls every day, right? And it's like, you want, because Ruby, she wants to go it's like she was disappointed that she didn't really get to run because they had a few other dogs out there. So she didn't really get to run tonight. And she was kind of disappointed. But I mean,
Oh,
and it's I didn't really want to run it as cold as windy as it is, as it's got in the last probably hour. It did drop. It's probably in the 40s right now with 30, 40-mile-an-hour wind. So it is gotten a lot chillier, and I know it don't bother her, but it's like I didn't have her vest or nothing with me, so I didn't want her to get out there, and if there's water or something there, get in the water, get wet, because then it'd be even worse. She'd be cold.
yeah.
But she did fine in Tennessee, man. We had that little thing blow in that they called it, I think, Arctic air or something, and oh my God, it was like hot that day, and then it was like 27 degrees in like an hour. It was bad. Like I had never seen. I mean, I live in Texas, so of course it's hot all the time, but it got so cold so fast. I mean, I was not ready for that night.
Yeah.
It's crazy because we were checking those like culvert ditches, like those drainage tubes that there was areas that were like 4 or 5 of them meet, and it's like a big mass area of just like drainage pipes, and they were probably 4 or 5 foot around. I mean, they were big; they weren't small ones. And I went back with lights at night so we could shine the lights in them because I had taken my little car, my remote control car, but I forgot the battery packs. So usually I'll put a
Right.
camera, a GoPro on it, and then I'll strap a flashlight to the front of it, and then I run it in those tunnels. Because you can drive it back in there a good ways, a couple 100 feet back in there. And it shows
Wow.
people different footage, right? Like it does show you like what it looks like inside those tunnels.
I mean, that would be interesting to see, especially like you said, if there was somebody that was missing and they thought maybe they went that way or.
Yeah, and you'd be surprised at the debris that gets trapped in those things. And I don't know if it's maybe from like the rain or like if you get a little small flood or something, but like in one of those big drainage things, it was a tire, like a car tire. And I'm like,
Oh,
what in the
okay.
world? And it was
Wow.
like hundreds of feet back in there. And I'm like, how did this thing? It must have just got washed through in a bad flood or something. But I was like, man, I don't know how this tire got in this thing. It was weird. But it is neat,
Yeah.
like when you're filming it, right? Because I'm watching it and I'm like, the flashlight in the car you're trying to drive where you don't hit nothing to flip it over. Because heaven forbid, I get back in there 100 or 200 feet and I flip that little car over, right? 'Cause I wouldn't be able to get it out. I'd have to just leave it in there. But
Oh, yeah.
and I'm not gonna crawl in there that far to go get it. Heck no.
Right? Oh my goodness.
Yeah, there would be no way I would do
Rich
that.
Freebird's asking if we're planning on doing anything for Sebastian's birthday on Saturday.
Well, I think definitely we should do something like I have all those green lights, those neon lights I can set up again, and like I did for your first live, remember? And I can set that up. I have those green Christmas trees and all that stuff. I can get it more involved if you want to do something like a birthday. Maybe you can bake a cake, and then you can like light the candles or something. Would that be cool?
I think that would be really cool. Yeah, I would love to do something like that for him because I
And then
mean,
Yeah, get everybody to put happy birthday in the comments or something, and then like we could do something where like a banner, like with some green hearts or something on it, and then maybe place some of his photos up there or something, and you could put that up behind you or something. I think it'd
Yeah,
be
I think
why
that would
not?
be
Why not do it?
awesome. I think that would be awesome.
I think they should do that on all the little kids' birthdays, right? Like, Baby Q and Harmony Montgomery and all these little kids. We should do something like that to celebrate their birthday.
Yes,
And
I
and,
think
I,
so
and I'm
too. They
sure people
definitely
do.
deserve it. They
Yeah,
definitely deserve it.
because you got to think this will be what? It'll be like 11 months or something like 10 months, 10 months by his birthday, or is it 10 months already?
Yeah, I mean, it's going on 10 months because it'll be the 26th of December.
It'll be 10 months.
Yeah.
December to
Yeah,
January,
because
January to
11 would be,
February.
yeah.
Yeah, that'll be 10 months. Yeah.
Mm.
The day after Christmas. Mm-hmm.
Hmm. I
Wow,
know.
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just too bad. I know. I think Seth is planning on doing a live like Friday night, is what they said, or what Tony said.
Yeah, and I have that happy birthday banner and all that stuff from the other day. I can just put it back up.
Oh, good. Yeah, that would be awesome.
And then I can just light a big fire, and then if we do it like before dark, you'll really be able to see everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
We just do like one in the morning and then one in the afternoon, right? That'd be cool.
I think so. I think that would be really cool. I think that would be really cool.
We need to make sure that Seth's not. If Seth's going to be doing something, we don't want to be on. We don't want to step on toes and be on at the same time as him. We need to, give him his time.
Oh, thank you. Tony says I took my pain meds and Rich knows.
Oh,
I
I
have
know.
two
All
calming
right.
voices
Well,
now to relax to. Aw.
you know
If
how I
you're still
feel.
up 1 to 3, I might be up. Okay, and back to chat. Oh, sounds so good. Thank you so much for coming
She'll
in,
come back
Tony.
at
I
like 4 in
appreciate
the
it.
morning. Tony will be back at like 4 in the morning watching. I know how she.
That's awesome. And
Cause she
all
like.
things serious says this case is so sad. I wish Ellie would do another press release. I wish they would too. That would be really nice. I think Seth would appreciate it. I mean I can't speak for him, but I think he would.
Hey, you know what? Was just thinking about. Hey, you know those little green smoke things you can buy that smoke green. I just thought of
Oh
something
yeah.
for his birthday. What if I strap a couple of those to a drone and fly it up, and then just
Oh,
put the
that would
green
be
stuff all
really
in the
neat.
air?
Oh yeah, that would be a great idea.
That'd be a cool idea too. Like like set off a couple of green smoke bombs or something.
I think that would be awesome. I think he would like that for sure.
And then
Yeah, for Sebastian.
get everybody in the chat room like to light one candle or something, right? That'd be kind of cool.
Oh.
Like get everybody involved. That's always good.
Oh, Freebird says it will it be the same time my husband and I are celebrating our 16th anniversary?
Oh wow,
Cool, but just going
16,
to dinner. Well, happy anniversary. That's wonderful.
16 years.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Freebird must be young, huh? 16 years.
Yes.
Yeah, she must be young.
Oh, yes. Oh,
You
that's
don't
wonderful.
you don't have a lot of young ones in true crime. It's usually like 40s, 50s, 60s. It's
Mm-hmm.
usually it's good to see that young ones are getting into it. It really is good to see.
I
But I know
think all the
mine.
young ones go to TikTok.
Yeah, because like if mine, like you can see, your age group, right? It'll show you in your analytics, and mine are like my main age group is 55 to 65, and it's 89% female. Yeah, I only have like 2% 18 to 25. I think it's like 5% of it. It's like 25 to 26 to 34. Like it's more in the 50s and 60s is where the most of your true crimers are on, at least on my channel. I don't know how it is on everybody else's, and I don't have a lot of subs yet, so but it seems like that's the age bracket.
Yeah, that's what mine are too. Is usually like the 40s, 50s, 60s.
Yeah.
Um,
That's about the
Yeah.
age of them. Yeah, and then I have like a couple
Yeah.
from Australia. I have a few from Australia, a couple from Kenya, Africa. I have a couple from the UK, and it's good to
Cool.
see. It's good to see them from all over, right? It's good to see that.
It
But
is. I
usually
think
the
it's
true
awesome
crime
because
rate,
that means like all of the missing people are being shared out far and wide. It is on YouTube, but it's
yeah,
cool to know that people are wanting to watch from. Yeah.
and there's still a boy. I'm trying to figure out this boy's name. Okay, I cannot remember him. He went missing from a party, and it was either UK or Australia.
Hmm.
He went missing it from a party from friends. He was probably like 2021, but he left the party and tried to walk home, and it was evidently too far. And then he turned around and
Oh.
tried to go back to the party, and then he vanished. And he has a unique name too, and his family's been looking for him for like 2 years now, and they found his phone evidently somewhere by that house or something and somebody had did something on his phone at like 6:30 in the morning, but he was last seen on camera going over like a deal by the water canals at like 3:30 in the morning. And I
Oh
cannot remember. I
wow.
wanted to say his name was Timothy, but I don't remember.
I don't
And
remember it. I don't
I've been trying
know.
to
I don't
search
know.
it. What's her name? The Michelle After Dark covered it a lot. And
Oh, okay.
I need to go back on her channel. She did some searching for this child, I believe. And
Oh wow.
I just cannot remember his name. And he really had a unique, beautiful name too. And I just cannot remember if his name was Timothy or O'Brien or something like that. It was different, and I think he might have been slow, like it, like born that way, like a little bit slow. And his mom and them have been searching for him frantically for like 2 years. And he was older, I know. I think he was like 2018, 2021, something like that. And
Oh.
God, I think about it all the time, and I just cannot. I have it in my head, I just can't get it out.
Freebird said she thinks that's in America, or that was in America.
It might have been, but what's his name? And I'll tell you. I thought
Gray
it was
Hughes is
UK or somebody.
Panther Lion says
Because
Gray
Michelle After
Hughes.
Dark covered it a lot. She still covers it. I need to go on her channel and see because it's. I want to say it was Timothy or something like that, and he had a distinctive name. It was a beautiful name. It was different. It's not something you hear all the time.
Huh.
And Simon, maybe his last name was Simon.
Simon. I'm trying to think.
Maybe Simon, Paul Simon, or I just cannot get it out. I keep
Isn't
thinking
that
of.
Leilani's brother?
No, not that James, not Baby Q. I think his name was Timothy Simon or something like that.
I
And
wonder what Gray Hughes is doing now. I know he can be kind of a little much.
yeah, because Baby Q would be how old now? 3, 4,
4, I think, right?
4?
Yeah, because he was 2.
He was 20 months old when it happened,
God,
so
he
he
was
wasn't
so
quite 2.
cute. Oh my gosh, he was so cute.
Oh my God, he's adorable little baby. And I'm always gonna remember that baby because that's the same day I started my channel.
Banter Lions,
Literally,
I've been in his chat before, and he's quite rude. I just went ahead and unsubbed from him, and
yeah, literally like 30 minutes after the Justice for Baby Q was done that day is the same day I started my channel. Same exact day. 30 minutes after she was found guilty on all 19 counts, I launched my first video.
oh wow.
That was the day I did it. And it was a video for him, and it was the first day that I launched my channel on the 25th of October.
Well, I was watching Dolly because he was covering
I know I
the
was on Dolly.
cases, and I
Remember, I
remember that
called.
because he came, you came on, you're like, I'm starting a channel, and then Jax was like, all the ladies are gonna go over there and subscribe to Rich. So I was like, well, I better get over there.
They were. That was so sweet that they did because I had 6 subs for a while, and then probably the first week and a half and I think people couldn't find it, right? Because it was under my chat name because that's how I started my channel. I didn't have logos. I didn't have anything yet. And I remember that day I started my channel, it was just it was just Richard McKinney at 51 at Gmail. That was my channel name. And I was trying to explain to everybody because I didn't know. I was like, it's my channel name, the same, my comment name. And then people started slowly finding it. And then I remember like about 2 weeks in when I called into Dolly and he was like, post it. And I was like, okay. And then somebody posted it on a super chat. And then that's when it just grew. Like I went up to from like 60 to I think or 40 to like 250 in like 20 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then it was crazy. And then it kind of stayed there for a little while. And then I started slowly climbing when I went on Lauren's channel, Hidden True Crime, over the Delphi case. And then I had sent her a message to tell her, you're such a strong-hearted woman to be out there in the freezing cold covering this case, because she was so cold.
Oh,
And
no
whenever I
doubt. No
sent
doubt.
that message, I commented. I wasn't doing it I was doing it to be, nice and recognize that she was out there. And then like she subbed up to my channel, and then like 10 or 12, 15, 20, 30 people came over from her channel.
I know. Isn't it funny how that works? So that's so
Yeah. And I
awesome. I
was
love
like,
that.
where are they coming
Well, we're
from?
glad to
And
have
then,
you, Banter Lions. So
yeah.
just
And then I
come
saw
on
she
over.
subbed, and then she subbed, and she left me in such a nice message. And then I was like, wow,
Aw.
people recognize, right? And then it was so nice because she recognized that I jumped in and told her, keep up the fight. Like, you're doing so good out there in the freezing cold. She had a beanie on. She was freezing. And I was like, you're still out there covering this case no matter what, right?
Yeah, it gets cold over in Indiana. I live,
It was,
I'm from
you could
Illinois,
tell
so I
she was
know.
cold. It was like almost like she had ice on her eyelashes. It was that cold. And I was just like shouting out to her, like, oh my God, you're standing out there freezing, right? And then it's glad that she recognized it, right? Like, it's good that people comment back. Like, I comment back to everyone, and I feel like everybody should do that. Because people are commenting to you for a reason. They want to communicate. So it's like you should communicate back.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I love going in and reading my comments and saying things back to people. I love it. I try to get to everybody. Sometimes
And
they hide them though. Like I'll think that I got everybody, and then I'll go into my studio, and there'll be like a couple messages in there, and I'll be like, "Dang it!" And they'll be like a week old, and I'll be like, "I'm sorry, I'm getting back to you
they're hid
late."
under
I try to
somebody else's.
at
They'll
least say
hide under
something like
somebody
that because
else.
I mean, I don't know
Yeah.
why they don't just show up in one spot and make it easy,
Well,
but it's
no,
like you got to
because
go
they
hunting all
they
these
link
different
onto somebody
spots
else,
for
right? They
them.
pop into somebody else's message, and they'll click on their message and leave a message under them, like they're communicating with somebody they know, but you're not seeing it, right? So it's when you don't see it because they're commenting. It's like say Tony commented, and then somebody jumped in under her and commented to her, right? Well, you don't see that message because it's under somebody else, and that's what happens. I think a lot of times.
Oh,
That's why you have to use
okay.
that red dot, that red bell dot, right? If there's a thing on that red bell, on that little bell, if it's red, there's a message hidden somewhere.
Oh.
And I'll even reply like, to the
Okay, so if
sometimes
I
people.
see the dot by the bell, keep looking for it. Cause see, like I hate that. I feel so bad that I didn't, and I'll be like, I didn't respond or whatever.
Yeah, and
Cause I
usually
try
like
to.
it's people that are communicating with somebody else in the comment section, like they know someone and they're saying, yeah, you're right, or hey, how you doing?
Oh, okay,
And
because
then
yeah, I know
and so
what you're
you don't
saying.
see it because it's not a direct message, a direct comment to you. It may be to somebody else, and then you'll catch it because it'll tell you have two unread messages or three unread messages, and that's what I always look at because then you can go find them that way. If you
Well,
double click the bell, it'll take
I'm
you
gonna go
to it.
use the bathroom really quick, and I'm gonna grab a hot tea. I don't know why, but my throat's hurting, but I think it's because I've been talking so much.
Probably because you need to take a break. You need to get off early, and you're gonna do it in the morning or no?
Yeah, I wanna come on in the morning because I think we had a really good group the last time, and
That's
it's
what I was gonna tell you
Friday,
because
and I
I
don't
got
wanna do it tomorrow night because Seth is gonna be on, and I don't wanna do it at the same time as
yeah,
he's on, you know what I mean? I
exactly.
wanna give him the floor.
That's what I was thinking too. Is and that way because I have to go get these drones. I have to load all this stuff up, get Ruby loaded up, and get back home. So
Oh, okay,
I,
well, then
I
I'll
was
I'll
gonna
I'll
go
just
ahead and
wait and drink
hop
a
off
tea while
anyway. I mean, you could keep going. I was just gonna hop off anyway, and then
No, I think
if
that's a
you're
good
still
idea
on,
because that way I can get some rest up and
you need to rest.
because
It's
I
12
like to go.
o'clock.
What time do you want to go on tomorrow then?
Well, I mean,
Love
I
you
like
too,
to do it early
Freebird.
in the morning, but it's up to you, right? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to do it,
Because I'm hoping to get some new info on the Hannah. I'm waiting on the aunt to respond back, and then if I can get some new information on that, because I'm really worried about her as far as nobody's talked to her since the 12th, right? And or seen her since the 12th. So I know some people look at this case differently, but I look at it as, she married this man and he had a girlfriend and she didn't know it, and this girlfriend is now trying to act like Hannah. This is scary.
oh my
Scary
gosh,
than
I
most
know.
people
That's why I
think.
really wanted to talk about it tonight because it's
Her name
like,
is almost the same as Hannah's. You realize that, right?
yeah,
It's
that's
Miranda.
just,
Like it's almost the same exact, except for it's an M in the beginning.
mm,
And that's the one she was saying, I believe, was trying to steal her identity. Like they were trying to, this guy that she married to get his green card, I think his girlfriend was there with them in LA. That's who these two people were. And
mm,
and so I think she was trying to become Hannah to be his wife. She was already his girlfriend anyway, because the FBI and them found all the documents in Hannah's house in Maui.
oh my
That's how this came out
gosh.
today.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's way more than what people think. And I kept telling you there's a twist to this thing, and we don't know. Like, because Hannah she didn't show up for nothing for her father. Like, that's why I think something's wrong. Major wrong.
Well, and right after Daniel Penny's case discussion, Vinny was going to be
Oh,
talking
the
about
court in the
Hannah, and I didn't
morning.
get
They're
that
probably
far
gonna
in
get
the
a verdict.
video, so I'll have to go watch that up
They're probably
and
gonna
check
get
it
a
out.
verdict in the morning, I bet.
I think we will get a verdict for him in the
It's
morning.
what
I'm
it
hoping.
comes
I'm
on at
hoping he's
9
not
a.m. I
guilty.
think 9 a.m. your time.
Okay. Well, hey, we
So
might be
yeah,
able
we
to
need.
do verdict
I'll
watch
check on
then.
it. I'll check on and find out what time it's gonna come on,
Uh
and then
huh.
I'll reach out and let you know.
Oh, sounds great. Sounds great.
And then tell everybody thank you so much for letting me in here tonight. That's so great. I'm
Of
so
course,
thankful.
always, anytime,
And
anytime.
tomorrow we'll be probably back at that area because they'll be all gone, and then I can do the other stuff I need to do with the dog with Ruby. And
Uh huh.
so if you're on like during the court, they can be watching Ruby do her thing too.
Okay. Okay.
So
Great.
that
That's
way I know during
wonderful.
the day they can see during the day, right? It's hard to see at night because I have to carry a spotlight. So I'm trying to hold the phone, hold the leash, and use a light at night, and it makes it hard.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. But I'm glad you were able to come on. I'm glad you're doing well, and I'm glad
Hey,
you're
I'm glad you had me on.
helping.
That's wonderful. I'm so glad.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's plan on that, and
Yeah,
I'll set the live up.
we'll
I'll
plan on in the
I'll
morning.
schedule it up, and we'll figure it out.
Yeah, well, it's everybody probably will probably be able to come on in the morning time. Like 9, 9:30, 10, or whatever time's comfortable.
Okay. Let's do 9:30. That 9:30
Oh
sounds
yeah,
good.
9:30 your time is great. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Because yeah, it'd be 8:30 your time. Okay.
8:30 my time, and I'll already be out in the field. So yeah, that's perfect.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay. Great.
All right, well
All
then
righty. Well, I'll
we'll
see you
see y'all tomorrow
tomorrow, and I'll
morning
see
then.
all you guys tomorrow too. Thank you all so much for being
Cool.
here.
Thank everybody so much. Y'all are all so sweet.
Yes.
Thank y'all.
Yes. All right,
All
you
right.
guys. We'll see you in the morning.
Yeah, we'll see you in the morning. I got to get Ruby packed up and get home. So
And you
y'all be
guys be
careful.
safe. You and Ruby be safe, and
All right,
everybody be
thank you.
safe.
Thank you
Night,
so much.
Minnie.
And good night, all y'all. Good night. Good night.
Yes. Good night, Banter Lions. Glad to have you in chat.
Yeah. Good night, everyone. We love all y'all. Stay safe, stay warm, and keep your prayers up for all the missing. And we'll talk to y'all tomorrow.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We
All
got to
right. You be
find these
careful. All
missing.
right.
Yes.
All righty. Bye bye.
All right. Bye bye. Bye, guys. You all have a wonderful, wonderful night, and we will see you in the morning. And Minnie, I hope you get that puppy dog.